Okay, we'll see how this goes. Let's. Okay. We'll see how this goes. Hey, what's up, Alan? Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, to everybody watching, I'm sort of experimenting with this. I just finished doing a stream a moment ago, and I was debating whether or not I should put a live Hangout link, and anybody can join. The link's right down there. You can click the link and join it. I think it should work. And that's it. Flat globe, up, down, gay, straight, whatever. I've been up since 3 a.m., so I'm really sleepy. And I was really thinking against doing this, but I think, for 5 or 10 minutes, I'm just going to fuck with it, see what happens. So, guys, the link's right down there in the description. Assuming that YouTube doesn't censor this live stream, like they said they were going to censor Flat Earth content. Hey, I think we have somebody. Oh, wow. Is it the real Sleeping Warrior?
It certainly is.
All right. Hey, what's up, man?
Did someone say debate?
Well, maybe for 10 minutes I'll be here, because I've been up since like 3 in the morning and I'm sleepy. So I just wanted to throw the link out there to see what happens. And I can't believe you fucking joined that quickly, bro.
I saw it and I thought, I just got into bed and I put my Bluetooth earphones on and I thought, I'll just see what's happening. And I saw your thing come up and I thought, I can't resist the debate. I'll have to get out of bed. So I literally got out of bed for you, for the purposes of discussion and debate about the lacking evidence for a sphere Earth.
Oh my God. Hey, if any of my viewers who aren't familiar with Sleeping Warrior / Anthony Riley, he's big in this whole flat versus globe debate. So I don't know how long I'll be doing this for, but maybe we'll see some interesting stuff. Some people are saying turn it down a bit, Riley. So let me see if I can adjust your audio. How the hell would I adjust your audio?
I can do it here. Let's just see what my levels are. Hang on.
All right.
I'm not that loud. Not according to my levels. It might be that you're quiet. Relativity, that thing.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Relativity. Relative sound. Only 68 watching, man. They must be shadow banning this one hard, man.
What am I gonna do?
That or nobody wants to join.
Have you ever done a hangout before? A live hangout with a public link?
No, this is the first time I've ever done this.
Okay.
Looks like we got a couple more people in here.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going, guys? Hey, Anthony. Long time no talk.
Hello, Nummy. How are your concepts doing?
Oh, you still can't let that one go, eh? Okay.
This guy sounds dummy.
Anthony's still butt hurting over the concepts. Anyways, are you guys debating or what's happening?
Well, we're just here, so whatever happens, happens.
So what we'll do is we've got to poke a couple of bears to get them in, because if we don't poke bears, it'll be like a circle jerk.
Sam, hey, what's up, Sam?
Hey, buddy.
Hey. Hey, guys in the chat, if there's any audio issues, let me know, because I've seen Nathan Oakley do it. I think he has fucking volume controls. So I don't even know how to access that. So I'm just kind of winging it here, guys. So hopefully,
I think he runs it through like a separate mix, and then he's able to control it through that. It's not part of the Google Hangout structure, the volume controls.
Voice meter banana. That's what he uses.
Okay. Now, I shouldn't. Part of me wants to put the Hangout screen on my main screen that's being, fed out live to the viewers. But if I get porn bombed, then it's going to be broadcast to everybody. So I think I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah, the risk you're taking is that you've got the link publicly in the chat, right?
Yeah.
So you have no risk with putting it on the screen because you're already publicly displaying the link. So
Oh wait, you're
I'm going
right.
to do in your benefit because you don't realize what you're risking yourself with. I'm going to
No, because if somebody porn bombs me, but I'm not, because if they porn bomb me, it's only going to show up here on the Google Hangout, right? Is that how porn bombing works? I don't even know how it works, but so if as long as I'm not putting the Hangout window on the live stream, because I could put it over to the side so it's not on the live stream. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, Sam, what's up? Are you flat globe? What are you?
Yeah, you're quite right. If it's off screen and you're keeping it off screen, it'll be safe.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm flat.
Oh,
The stuff is flat.
Oh, awesome. That's great, Sam. How long you been flat?
About 3 years.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Early
I've been
adopter.
actually following you for a while before you became one. Then I kind of stopped, and then I just rediscovered you. I'm like, oh, look at him. Welcome to the club.
Cool, man. That's great. That's great.
Lummy, what's your current position?
Unchanged.
You have to remind me. I thought, were you neutral or were you flat?
Oh, come on, Anthony. Give me a break. Are you really that bitter?
I can't remember.
Come on. Really? Give me a break, man. You're lying now.
I just can't remember. Are you not going to answer?
You're full of shit, Anthony. Anyways, yeah, I'm flat.
Anthony, are you the same Anthony who's joining with Nathan Oakley?
Yes, sir, that would be correct.
Oh, you guys are doing an amazing job. You are so relentless. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
to be
where you
honest-
get all the patience to try and explain the same thing over and over again. I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, I think some of them are intentionally doing it just because they need to obfuscate certain points. And when there's a debate and you ask them for proof, there isn't any. How do you prove that the Earth's spinning? Well, we see the sunset, right? Oh, right, so that proves that the Earth's spinning, does it? And then obviously they say, of course it does, you idiot. And then you say, right, prove that the Earth spins then. And they say, well, the sunset does it. And it's like, that's not proof that the Earth spins.
I love how you're using their own arguments against them, and they just can't stand it, man.
Yep. So we need to put the red pill philosophy. We need to stoke the fire a little bit because otherwise you're not going to get any ballers to come in. So you need to tell people that the ballers can't prove stuff and then just reel a couple of things off and then you might get one or two that peep in.
Well, here we have airline pilot research, Global Airlines. He says he's going to join later. Hopefully it don't take him too long because I don't know how long I'll be doing this for here tonight. But yes, stoke it. I will come in soon, says airline pilot research, Global Airlines. Yeah, we'll get in here already then. Poke the bear. Well, I don't know. I mean, how about moving the globe post? I mean, that's like the best,
I love that scene.
that's the best reason. That's the primary reason I'm a globe skeptic is because pretty much every single proof that we live on a sphere that was taught to us for thousands of years, hundreds of years, it turns out there's a big fat nuance. Look, a giant alien has joined the. Okay, I think he left. There was a fucking alien icon that joined for a second.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Probably a porn bomber. That or the fucking Anunnaki are watching. But yeah,
Hey, by the way-
they're always moving the globe post. Every single proof, like ships disappearing bottom up. Oh, sorry, we forgot to tell you in school about refraction. So if you ever see totally flat for 15, 20 or more miles, oh, we didn't tell you about this, but it's called refraction. Same thing with the fisheye lens. Oh yeah, haven't you seen pictures from space? And it turns out like half the things that are shot high enough to quote see curvature have a freaking fisheye curved lens to it. So yeah, just always moving the globe post. That's the primary thing that's got me scratching my head, wondering what the fuck's going on.
Hey, Uncle, what's up? Watch out, guys. You might get sniped here, I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Why? You have any reason to think that?
Just a strong intuition after a lot of globe Earth chats, flat Earth chats, I should say. I don't know. When somebody comes in with no icon, doesn't say anything with their microphone off.
How the hell do you boot people on this shit?
There's a little button in the icon at the bottom of the screen.
I mean, I see his name and shit, but I don't see like a button next to his name that I can click.
I'll try to do it.
Should be within his window.
No, I don't have anything actually.
I'm just trying to open the Hangout in the back chat so I can try and monitor it so that you don't get too many idiots in.
The thing is, I think this might be a somewhat different Hangout than the one that people usually use.
It is. There's something different about this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Well, Uncle, I mean, fucking say something, bro.
Debate, see what goes on.
Hey, what's up, Tommy?
Check.
Hey,
Hello?
Tom.
Oh,
Hey, what's up?
Tommy from Birmingham, is it?
Yeah, it's me, man. Just a bit.
Hey.
Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now, guys?
Hey, yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Couldn't get my microphone to work. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
So, which side of the fence do you sit onto?
Well, my journey started a few years ago when I went to go. I don't work. I'm retired now, and my wife still works. I had gone to her work, and her boss said to me, "This is about 3.5 years ago." He said, "What's all this stuff about flat Earth on Facebook?" And I thought, "What are you talking about?" So I had to go and start looking at it. I've always questioned stuff. I never believed that the moon landing was real. I was odd and strange, and so many inconsistencies and stuff. And I don't know, there's so many things where I've been able to see further than I should be able to see. You know, one of my first things was fishing with my dad on a beach. And I used to live on Vancouver Island. I now live in northern British Columbia, but I lived in Vancouver Island.
What's up, Super? Super, are you there? What's up, man? Can you say something real quick, Super? Just to confirm that you're there. Unmute yourself. Anyways, go ahead, Tommy. Sorry to interrupt you.
And I could see from the beach across the strait called Georgia Strait from Vancouver Island back to the mainland, there is a place called Paul River, and there's a mill there, and it's about 39 miles away. And I could see the mill. I could see all of it. And there was a ferry boat that went from there, and I could watch the ferry boat go from one side to the other. It's about an hour and a half trip. And I could just see the whole thing. And I always thought, well, doesn't it go, you know, over the bend? But there was no bend. And I started questioning this stuff as an early, you know, young as a kid. But it just kind of resurfaced, you know, like I say, in the last 3.5 years.
I find that really fascinating. The idea that, you know, before the internet, I bet there were probably millions of people who had scattered little thoughts where they would suddenly ask really deep, good questions about the globe model, but because they didn't have this hive mind, collective investigation that we have now today with the internet, you know, those questions they had probably went to the grave with people for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I'm always fascinated by people who had original thoughts and questions without being told that there's a flat Earth movement to begin with.
Yeah, I always thought things were just odd, that it wasn't the way that we were taught. You know, I did all the sciences. I went through physics and biology and all that kind of crap all through school, and then did tons of stuff in my life with that. I don't know, just skeptical like about a lot of stuff, you know. And it's like maybe the way that we think it is. I'll tell you. Here's another thing. I had I'd watched the lunar eclipse. Okay, I live in northern British Columbia, and there's a guy on YouTube that does a live moon viewing every night that he has a clear sky. Can't remember his name here. I think it's P&K Imaging or something like that. I could look it up here, but anyway, so I'm watching. He's broadcasting the lunar eclipse from Miami, Florida, And we had some cloud cover here, so I didn't know that I was going to be able to see the moon. But the clouds disappeared. So I started watching it at the same time while I'm streaming him. And what I thought was so bizarre is that the eclipse started on his end at the same time it started on mine. And that's at least 3,500 miles away from here to Miami. How's that possible? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I started thinking that maybe this eclipse thing is more of a phase of the moon as opposed to, blocking the light.
What's up? What's up, new guy? Hey, I recognize you. You debated Nathan. I think you debated Nathan once.
Who, me?
Hey, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. I not exactly had a debate. I just had him just fucking just start chatting loads of shit. Really,
Well, it was an ass whooping.
he doesn't debate. What he likes to do is just deny everything that contradicts him and doesn't take into account of
That sounds
having
like Globetards.
That sounds like a globe-tard.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Totally
if you
does.
are interested in evidence, it's there for you to see. It's just your interpretation of evidence is
So
warped.
you're straight up in the globe camp. You know you live on the underside of a spinning ball. You know it.
No, we live on the top of it.
Well, there's no top and bottom on a globe, technically.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about now?
There is no up and down on a globe.
Like, all right. So the sun. All right. Let's go with the flat Earth model. Right. The sun's above the clouds. Yeah.
The sun is above the clouds.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you guys, for one, if you are literally interested in the truth, I mean, I can give you an example of why the Earth can't be flat. But you have to be honest enough to say that you're willing to listen to what it's saying, listen to what I'm saying, and take into account the fact I'm about to give you.
Just give the facts, man. Just give the facts. Come on.
Just move your mic away from your mouth. You're breathing into your mic heavy.
Right. So, if the sun is above the clouds, how is the underneath of clouds illuminated when the sun sets?
The light is just shining through the cloud, giving it the appearance of being illuminated, but it's not illuminated from underneath.
So that's why when you see shadows, so how do shadows get casted onto the clouds if it's just an illusion? And how come it only happens as the sun sets?
Hang on a sec. Hang on.
I'm not really aware of it.
What's happening with you asking questions right now is you're doing the burden of proof reversal.
Mm-hmm.
The claim is that we live on a sphere, and you're the one that's supposed to be providing the evidence that you accept to prove that we live on a sphere. Asking people questions about clouds and the underside of clouds isn't the deal. That's not how it works. So
Is it?
We have to have a conversation of whether
you brought to me how to answer the questions for you and how to prove to you that it's not flat. Is that how it works? Do I have a freedom of speech to speak of how I perceive that it can't be flat?
Tommy.
Is that you telling me how I have to play?
Tommy, I have a quick question for you. Okay, can you just answer me this quick question? Okay. All right. How high do you have to be to see the Earth's curvature?
Well, it depends how much of the curvature you need to see. Oh, sorry. It depends how high, how much of the curvature you would want to see. If you want to see significant curve, like unquestionable, then you need to see like as far as
at least some curve. I just want to see some.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a speck.
You can get it with high altitude balloons with a camera, which Soundly's already provided evidence for. But that you can't really.
You can't see it at 120,000 feet.
Either way, you've obfuscated my point about the clouds being illuminated underneath.
Wait, but just really quick question.
You know what? Because you're red herring.
Look,
it's
the curve of the Earth. It's the ultimate proof that we live in a ball. The curve.
No.
How high do you have to be to see it?
You're red herring the conversation.
Now you're screaming. You're screaming now like Nathan Oakley. You were complaining about that a moment ago, but now you're screaming.
Yeah, he does do that.
Well, what's happening is you're red herring the conversation.
No, how high do you have to be to see the curve? Simple.
That's red herring. As I said to you, you need to see the whole of a good portion of America. So you'd have to imagine how much of when you're high in the air, you'd have to see the portion of the globe, wouldn't you? A good percentage of the globe.
You just tell me how high we have to be to see curve. You should know this.
Well, you're not asking me a direct. You're not asking me a direct question about how high. How much curvature are you looking about? How much curvature are you asking? That's not. You're not saying.
I don't care. Show me. Okay, show me curvature that would be easy to distinguish with the naked eye.
Okay, that's a good question. Now you'd have to see a good portion of it. Like think about the size of America. You'd have to see from one side to the other, so you'd see like a good portion of the globe. So how high would you imagine you'd need to be in order to see that wide, that far, and that much detail?
I don't know. Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can't see it from 128,000 feet with a very wide field of view.
Yeah, but that sounds like a lot when you say 128,000 feet, whatever it is. But it's not very high.
Okay, so let me
compared
ask you a quick question. For decades that commercial aviation has been around, and tens of thousands, maybe millions of people looked out their airplane window and said they can see the curvature of the Earth. Were they just hallucinating? What was happening there?
Well, you know, I can only speak for like how people interpret things. They've got like people have got like stupid views, haven't they? Like some people believe that fucking Muhammad's going to come on a flying
People,
horse.
so wait. So people
So-
stupidly believe they can see Earth's curvature
People-
from 35,000 feet?
The thing is, we're just getting so far away from the proof that I've pointed to you that the Earth can't be flat, and this is something. This is a tactic that flat earthers do. They don't want to face things that I first of all come in and says, if you was interested in learning how the Earth isn't flat, and all you've done is you're just obfuscating and you're just going on a big merry-go-round. Let's just get back to the point that I'm just trying to prove to you that it can't be flat.
It's not an obfuscation. I want to know why why are people programmed to see something that's not there? See, the reason I bring that up is because it makes me scratch my head and wonder if the belief that we live on a globe is part programming. You know, you got every single mainstream media news show has a friggin' spinning globe in the back. You watch any Universal Pictures movie, there's a giant globe spinning in the beginning. What's up to everybody who's new? Please mute the YouTube page. If you are currently watching a live stream, please mute it. So I guess my question is simple. Like, if we live on a globe, why are people hallucinating something? Something like it's just a strange thing. Like people should just know.
It's interesting what you're saying, and I'll give you a bit of fair due for being quite welcoming and nice about that. But it comes down to the point that you are obfuscating the point that I don't care if it's a globe or if it's a cube or it's an oblong. The point that I'm trying to say is it's definitely not what you guys think the alternative is. So let's say it's not a globe.
Okay.
Let's forget that. Let's say it's not a globe.
Okay, go ahead. Ask your question. Ask your question from the start. Ask the question you had from the start. Go for it.
How do clouds get illuminated from underneath as the sun sets?
And there was a little nugget to your question originally. You kind of seemed to you said that the sun is above the clouds on the flat Earth model. You kind of asserted that.
Well, it definitely is, isn't it? I mean, you'd have to be
I wouldn't
mentally challenged to say it's not.
I'm not going to say I know the exact distances of everything that's up there, and I'm not going to say there aren't some clouds that maybe form above the sun. I sure as hell wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make a suggestion. Go and look onto Seventh Day Truth Seekers channel, and he's got a specific question that's mirrored from P-Brain, a specific video that addresses how the underside of clouds are lit on a flat Earth, and that is the title of the video. So all you got to do to find your answer is
I'm asking you a question, and I'm asking you a question. You're not answering it. You sleeping warrior. You are
okay. Tommy, how about this? Interesting question. I don't have an answer for either model, whether that's flat or globe. I don't even think that's some kind of slam dunk proof. But I'll just straight up say I don't really have a response to you. But can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question in return? Can I ask you a question in return?
Yeah.
Okay. So you proposed that question, and you have a very heavy kind of burden of proof tone in your voice, like, look, how could this ever be possible on a flat Earth? So again, it actually kind of Riley was hinting to this. It's sort of a burden of proof thing where you're kind of putting all this weight on me to prove that we currently live on the underside of a spinning ball, which I find to be ridiculous, and it goes against all experiential experience. But here, let me ask you this question then. Why can I see a 95-foot tall lighthouse from 13.8 miles away when it's supposed to be hidden, according to the official curve calculators, by 80 feet? Why can't I see everything?
Say that last bit again, please. I didn't quite get it all.
Yeah, I've done P1000 observations. And
Okay, yeah.
I can see a lighthouse that's 13.8 miles away, according to the official globe calculations, supposed to be hidden by 80 feet.
That lighthouse thing. Or that
The lighthouse thing that some globers have straight up said was just a holographic refraction.
I mean, we can use small examples, so we can use the big examples that are very difficult to, like when you choose this lighthouse, which is quite like, you know, it's quite, you shouldn't be able to see it by what you're saying, the calculation you've done. But for me, I use more concrete things. So when I look at the mountains that, like, look at Mount Rainier, and I can see that, you know, 80% of that mountain's covered. You can't see 80% of that mountain.
Wait, are you saying you use things more concrete?
I use bigger examples
than ships disappearing bottom up?
I use big mountains. I look at mountains.
So you're saying that ships disappearing bottom up is not reliable?
No, I'll just rather than, because I see a lot of flat earthers, what they do is they squabble over these little grey areas and these little things, and you can easily make mistakes. So okay. I use bigger examples.
Could Aristotle have easily made a mistake observing ships disappearing bottom up 2,000 years ago and that was used as a proof of the globe? Could he have made a mistake?
I think the ships going over curvature is very good evidence.
Oh, wait, but why isn't a lighthouse not going over curvature good evidence?
I mean, I'd have to review what the information you've got, but I know what a lot of flat earthers do is they misinterpret the data, or they don't do correct measurements. They don't do things correctly. They're not very bright usually.
What's the benefit of Mount Rainier versus a lighthouse? Is it because one is higher up and the other one's kind of lower down, so there's more refraction, atmospheric effects? Is that the issue?
I just think it eliminates a lot of the bullshit that flat earthers inject into these small examples. So it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to inject these fucking swearing. It's a lot harder to inject
all. You can swear here. You can swear here.
That's cool. It's a lot harder to inject all that nonsense when it comes to the mountain.
What nonsense?
It's just between the two of you. Can we all contribute, or give?
Anybody can jump in at any time. Go ahead.
Because I'm just listening, and I'm trying to understand this globalin who keeps insulting and shouting and talking about flat earthers and this and that. Can we just forget about that for a minute, okay? I know how globalins are. They see everything as it is. What we're asking is simple things that we see that does not make sense. What we're saying is, and I'm trying to get this, and I haven't actually seen even a flat earther talk about this. You indicated about Mount Rainier or whatever it is. When you see it on a globe, why is the mountain not tilting to the back or to the side?
The fact that you asked that question shows your lack of understanding.
If I see a building 100 miles away,
you're asking that shows your lack of understanding.
So how does that work? If I see a building 100 miles away, if you go to Dubai, I went to Dubai.
No personal attacks, please.
I went to one of the tallest buildings in Dubai. When I look about 100 miles away and I see tall buildings, are they not supposed to be curved?
No, you have your problem. Your problem, mate, is you have no sense of scale. That's your problem.
So you're saying it's scale, right? You guys haven't got
a sense of scale.
So explain that to me.
Ask me, why is it tilting away? Do you think you live on a basketball?
Hey, Tommy.
You live on a small basketball? Seriously.
No, we live on a big basketball, Brummy. You are terrible at explaining these things.
Tommy, listen.
Explain them a bit differently. Simple man terms. Tommy, you're a bit more technical than me. I definitely take my hat off to you. But
so for every degree of curvature, there is about 69 miles. It's almost exactly 69 miles. So if you're 69 miles away from something, it will be tilting away from you if it's built perpendicular to the Earth's surface by 1 degree. 1.
Exactly my point.
Lewis,
exactly my point, Louis. Exactly my point.
Lewis,
this is one of the simple things we need to be watching out for. The simple things. We don't want to calculate anything. We just want to see what our eyes are telling us. Okay, you're telling me the Earth is a globe. Fine, I understand it. Why are buildings 100 miles away standing straight up?
Well, they're not. They're tilting away from you.
Why are they standing straight up?
Okay, Lewis, you have
They're tilting away from you approximately a little more than 1 degree.
Lewis,
what's
you have
happening.
evidence
You're
of
saying
that?
they're tilting. When I see it, they're tilting, but I just see it as straight.
Well, I mean, they're 360 degrees in the circle. You know that, right?
I do know that.
All right. Do you think you're going to see one?
Oh, no, but this is
Look.
you're calculating. So
Look,
all I'm saying
take
is,
two pencils. Take two pencils
Uh-huh.
or pens and stick them up in front of you like that, and just tilt one away 10 degrees. All right.
okay.
Are you gonna? Are you
real
gonna tell me
quick.
you're gonna be able to
hold up,
tell
hold up,
that?
Hold up. Hey,
Is
hold
it-
up.
I can
Hey,
tell that.
everybody, shut up. Everybody
I didn't
shut up.
follow you.
Everybody shut up for a second.
I
Hey, everybody.
should be able to see it.
Who's talking? Shut up. Sorry. Shut up for a second. Hey, Soundly is in the chat and he says he'll join, but we got a full house. Anybody here mind leaving? If you're not
I'll jump out.
active?
I'll jump out. I'll listen on
Okay, thanks.
on the stream. Okay. Take
Hey,
care, guys.
Sound-
Thanks for letting me in.
Hey, Soundly, try to get in if you can right now, man.
You got two.
And whilst he's on his way in, if the buildings are only tilting by 1 degree, then imagine how much tilt there should be with Soundly's Pontchartrain stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't even have close to 69 miles, so way less than 1 degree.
Look at all the tilt. that's
Imagine, guys, less than 1 degree of tilt. Oh, can you imagine? No, you probably
and
can't.
Look at what Soundly's showing. He's showing a basketball.
Yeah,
It'd
but
be
Lewis-
90 degrees perpendicular, wouldn't it, by the time it got to the other side of the lake on his curve?
So
No,
you're, right,
because-
you're not trying to understand
You're-
anything, are you?
Yeah, you're not. You're not
Tommy,
even trying.
Tommy.
No, but you guys need to show the evidence that the things are tilting. Because you're claiming that we wouldn't see the tilts and that they are, but that they are tilting. So where's the evidence that they are tilting?
If it was
Yeah.
tilted,
Well,
then
there's
are you technically
instructions.
right?
There's
It would be a lot.
instructions. So
You're coming
the
from a
way
position
the
of
way
an
you work out,
Wait, you're coming
the
from
way-
a position of an assumption.
I was gonna answer that for you.
Okay, go ahead.
The way you work out how many degrees there are for a given distance is
Not
you
work out.
divide- Oh,
Prove.
I'm sorry, Anthony. I
Prove,
should have
not work it out.
known that you were talking, so I should have just
Prove,
waited for you.
Not work it out.
All right, you done?
Prove, not work it out.
Oh, prove not work it out. Okay, so the way you work out how much tilt there would be is you divide the circumference by 360.
That's not what I asked you, though, Lewis. I asked you for evidence that the buildings are tilting away at all, not how you would
Well,
work it. I'm
I
aware
mean-
of how to work it out.
Well,
That's
I
not
mean,
the problem.
you don't accept pictures from space. I mean, that's how I would prove it. Like that is concrete proof that the Earth is a sphere.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't
I'm sorry that you don't accept that.
Well, of course I don't
No.
accept that.
Oh, okay, Louis.
And they don't
Louis,
show buildings tilting away anyway. Listen, you can't see any buildings in the NASA.
Right, you wouldn't expect to. You wouldn't expect to be able to see 1 degree of tilt.
So then,
I'm
what's
sorry.
your point?
You-
I'm just
you-
saying you're
You can barely. There are very few situations where you can even expect to see 69 miles.
yeah, I
let
agree
alone
with that. I
have
don't
an
think that-
object that you're
I
going to
don't-
be able to. You're going to actually be able to see
Yeah, I don't agree
1
that-
degree of tilt in.
I don't necessarily think that you would be able to eyeball that negligible amount of tilt, but you're asserting that there is one. And so I'm just asking you, do you have evidence of that, or is that just a product of your assumption?
I mean, I guess I'm not.
Yes, it's a
no,
product of your-
yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so
but,
you just
I mean,
believe that without evidence.
all the same. You have no evidence to refute it with.
Right, but you're refuting it by
Are we
pretending
seeing
that you have the
straight
evidence.
So I'm
buildings?
just asking you for
What are talking
evidence to back your assertion that you just made, and now you're just
No,
reversing.
I'm not asserting it. Like you said, there should be tilt, and I'm saying, yeah, the amount of tilt would be 1 degree.
Yeah, no, you asserted that there is. You said the buildings are tilting away. You just
Okay. Let me just say this. It
Well,
starts
you
off
can-
with.
You
Hold
can
on,
go
Louis.
back and
Louis.
listen to it, and it's possible that I may have. I would like to make clear, for the purposes of this argument, because you guys are overly pedantic and get
Yeah.
offended by people just being amiable with each other. I will say I will not assert that I know for a fact that the Earth is a globe, and I will not assert that I know for a fact that the buildings are tilting 1 degree every 69 miles. I will say that that's what we would expect if the Earth is the sphere of the dimensions that
That's
it's
a good
purported to
start.
be.
That's a good start, Louis. That's a good start. You know, that is the type of thing we want to hear from globalists, right? Because
Yeah, I
then
agree.
we're all learning.
Well,
Back
I
and
mean,
forth. That's a
let
good
me
start.
Trey.
No, I'd like to hear.
Hey, Tommy, hold up. Hey,
Type of
Tommy,
thing-
hey, hold
you
up, hold
guys.
up.
The
Tommy,
type of things we
Tommy,
would like.
hold up,
you know-
hold up. Tommy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tommy, I got a question for you, Tommy.
Lovely. Let's hear it.
Hey, so earlier we were talking about Mount Rainier versus a lighthouse, and you said, let's not worry about lighthouses. Flat earthers love to focus on that, and it comes with all this
Yeah.
baggage. So, what is the baggage? You didn't get to. What's the BS
Okay.
you're talking about?
But
What
this is
is
what I
it?
was about to address, that we have got away from certain points that we were making earlier. They have a problem with scale. That's the problem with that other thing. But yeah, I think it's when you're using small examples, there's room for error and there's room for people to misunderstand.
Why do you suck so much, Brummy?
Let me finish doing what I'm doing. You've got your way of talking to people, Lewis. I've got my way of speaking to people.
Yeah, your
Not
ways
everybody needs
suck.
to hear your ways a lot of gish gallop also, and you're talking about very mad details. Some people don't need them. Some
Okay,
people
actually,
don't need them. I support you. I support the way that you.
Guys,
I support the way that you
stop having
explain
your
things.
little.
Please support the way that I like to explain things. Not everyone has to be a robot like you. Do you understand that?
Is that P
Well,
Mars?
I think they should be.
P Mars, don't.
We live in the
porn
real
bomb,
world
dude.
where people have
I'm not a porn bomber.
to explain things at a
Okay.
different level. We don't have to explain
Hopefully
things the
not.
way that you like to explain things, Lewis. You are correct in what you're saying. Anyways, he asked me a question. so
Sleeping
I'm like,
water dropped.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have very small grey areas where if they don't understand things properly, they'll mess it up. And there's ways of what's the word I'm looking for? The things that they
Hey,
mess it up
Soundly,
like,
Soundly,
you're asking
we
me,
got
is
slots
they'll
open.
go like, what's it called again?
Brumi, are you gonna make a
Yo.
point or what?
Soundly's in the house.
No,
What's
it's
up,
difficult
Soundly?
when Lewis jumped all over my dick as soon as I started talking. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
It's
yeah,
not-
yeah.
it's
It's
not
my
welcome.
fault that you
No,
can't.
but you
come up
have
with
to
a
really. I was
specific
trying
thought
to
and
talk. You're like, oh my
articulate it
god, Brandon,
properly,
you're
and that's
fucking
my
this. And that.
fault.
I don't do that to you. There's a big difference. Let me. You can just.
Make a point or don't talk. Make a point relevant to the topic.
Shout out to Sound.
Oh, they use small examples, and it's easy to get things wrong. Simple as that. So I use big examples where it's very difficult to have a margin for error.
Mic check.
Hey, what's up, Soundly? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's
What's
up?
Mr. Tommy, since you said you wanted to use simple things. I'd like to just ask a simple question. If you can help me, I'm just learning. If two planes take off at the same time, one heading to LA, one heading to Houston, the other takes off from Houston heading to Atlanta. One plane takes off from Atlanta heading to Houston, the other takes off from Houston heading to Atlanta. They both take off at the same time. They're both traveling at the same speed, and they both take off. Which one gets to its destination first, since the atmosphere is moving with them? How can you explain
No,
that?
I know
to me?
that my mate takes a flight to Texas from the UK every year.
No. Could you come down to
let me
what
just
you're saying? Don't
explain.
take it anywhere.
Don't tell me how to answer questions. I'll answer them how I feel comfortable.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Texas, and his plane back is always quicker than his flight there. So we'll talk about Coriolis effect, right? You asked me about Coriolis effect. That's what you're trying to prove now, Coriolis
Okay,
effect.
no, I understand what you just said. That's fine. But I'm asking you a very simple question.
Yeah,
Two
it's about
planes take
Coriolis
off.
effect.
One from Atlanta and one from Houston. They both take off at 8 o'clock. They're both traveling at 500 miles an hour, heading in.
Is that airspeed or ground speed?
Whatever speed it is, air, ground.
No,
doesn't
it
matter.
actually matters a lot. Airspeed or ground speed are two very different things,
Okay,
and it matters.
let's take it as ground speed. 500 miles an hour, both airplanes.
Then they get there. Then there's no difference in the time of the trip if it's ground speed.
But the globe is moving though. How?
Yeah.
how
So
come?
what you're confusing airspeed and ground speed.
Okay. What was the difference?
Airspeed is how fast the plane is moving relative to the air it's in, and ground speed is how fast it's moving relative to the ground.
Hey, Lewis, how fast is the air moving relative to the ground?
Thank you, sir.
Well, it depends on the headwind or tailwind.
Right. So would you say 1,000 miles per hour or more like 20 or 30?
I'd say more like 20 or 30.
Yeah, me too.
One of the things that I remember is atmosphere acts as a lens, and that's why it blows things up, and that's why things appear to be disappearing bottom up, because the atmosphere has like water in it, and that acts as a lens, and it makes things bigger in the background.
Except it doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is what flat earthers are
No,
claiming.
flat earthers don't say that. I'm a flat earther. I don't say that. Most flat earthers.
Actually, flat earthers do say that.
Well, some flat
Let me get a word in before.
Some Globers say
Wait a
that.
minute.
The reason I focus on that
has a video.
Flat earthers
Rob Skiba
specifically
has a
say
video
that,
on
like
it.
Jeranism.
Yeah, well,
Jeranism says that. So does
Rob Skiba.
Rob Skiba.
Rob Skiba.
Yeah,
he has a
most
video on
Globers
it.
think that flat gravity is a force as well. So
I want to get a word with Chris just 1 minute. This is Jose Gonzalez here. You hear me?
Yep.
Check.
Yep.
What's up,
go
Chris?
for it. Yo, what's up?
Jose Gonzalez used to be a flat earther hardcore 24/7 for a little over 2 years. I went back to the globe maybe about a week and a half ago because I found so many geometrical impossibilities on flat earth. For example, things disappearing from the bottom up. It's not dirty air, it's not refraction, not mirroring, not the band of whatever the circle of confusion. It's not compression. Things disappear from the bottom up impossibly, geometrically
what
impossible.
about when things are pretty much fully visible?
Okay, so this is the case. We got a 50-50 over here. When you see it, the direct line of sight is there, but this is the flatter explanation. It's easy. Now, flatter explanation for when you don't see it and it's disappearing from the bottom up is magic. It's all of a sudden compression, angle of attack, this angle of incidence of view. Now,
These are real observable things.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is not
I
a
agree.
magic. It's
I
been
agree.
proven.
But in the other side, in the globe
This video
explanation,
he just put out
No,
today.
there hasn't been. There hasn't been.
I'm
any
almost done.
videos
I'm almost
like-
done with my point. Now, in the globe explanation, when we don't see it because it disappeared from the bottom up in a very clear day, it's no atmospheric or optical effects going on. It's just behind the curve. That's it. That's the explanation. Now, when we see it, like your observation, one out of, I don't know, a handful of observations, then there's something going on. It's some kind of refraction and luminon, all that kind of stuff. We are in the same boat, bro. We got 50-50
Yeah, but
observations.
that just seems
It's
like
not, though.
that just seems like both of us are getting interesting anomalies with our observations. You're seeing things disappearing bottom up. Sometimes I'm seeing things that should be hidden, but they're clearly visible. So I mean, so which one is
the
it?
anomalies
which
are
one,
one-sided.
which one is Earth curve and which one is refraction and which one is just consistent with a flat Earth? I mean, you know,
Well,
and then now you
we
start
know-
getting
the thing
now
is,
you
is we know
start
how
now you
refraction
start
works,
getting
so.
what was that, Sally?
I said, well, we know how refraction works, and it's consistent with the globe. I mean,
How do we know how
whatever-
refraction? There's no experiments that demonstrate how this refraction works.
Sure, there are.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's
sure,
just an
there are.
assumption based on what we can see.
No, there's not. We understand how refraction. We do understand how refraction works. There are experiments that show that, and not only that, but every single camera uses refraction through lenses.
Well,
That's how cameras work.
What I've heard a lot of from Dr. John D is that in most of these low level, like right above the surface of water observations, I think he said you're more likely to get upward refraction, not downward refraction, which is the opposite. Which is the opposite of what the globe size says, and that's what Dr. John. That's what Dr. John D was saying.
Dr. John doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's all there is to it.
You know what?
And we know that,
That's a statement.
because we have measured it. We have in fact gone out there and taken GPS measurements and actually traced out the profile
But
of
soundly,
the curve.
here I was
And
watching.
came
I
up
was
with the geometric
but soundly-
shape of the curve.
soundly,
and then
I was
compare
watching
to
that.
the observations,
But soundly-
and the observations match that shape.
But soundly, here's the thing: you're using GPS.
But nothing.
Isn't that a model
Right.
that presupposes? Isn't
No.
isn't
No.
GPS a model that
No.
presupposes the Earth is a sphere?
I know what you're going to say, and no, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It's
Earth
global.
curve-
It's
no, it
global positioning.
You know what
system.
I'm saying?
It
Earth
imposes
curve.
a globe model.
Are you going to let me answer and correct your misunderstanding, or are you going to talk over me?
I didn't get to say what I wanted to say before, which is that
Earth
there's no
curve-
experimental evidence of atmospheric refraction whatsoever.
There is, no, certainly. There absolutely
Okay,
is.
show me the evidence.
There are experiments that show.
Yes, refraction exists in liquids and solids, in materials that have known refractive indices, but to show me
You
where
haven't seen Homer Sapiens experiment where he shot a laser over cold surfaces versus hot surfaces? You haven't seen that for real? Greater Sapien, who is just a layperson like me,
but
was
he's
able to show that experiment.
Yeah,
Have you done it? Have you repeated Greater Sapien's experiment?
I have a refutation of his experiment, which is that he's refracting it on the plasma, the fire, right? Which is not the same as just air.
Where did he have
No, he's
fire? Where did he have fire in his experiment?
He's refracting it through hot and cold air. He's doing exactly what that
refracting it through plasma. Which
Did
is
you even see his experiment,
Right.
Nummy?
He just said there's no experiments, and then I tell him one, and now he's moving the goal.
I've
Hey,
seen the
Soundly,
experiment, and I'm saying
Soundly, can you
plasmas
see
are
my
okay.
screen? Hey, Soundly, can you see my screen, or can you look at the live feed, or whichever, real quick?
I'm looking at your screen. All I see is your
Okay.
avatar.
Yeah, here, I'll share my screen here in the Hangout here real quick.
Let me make this point real quick. Earth curve, Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinates are just 3D coordinates. It's like any type of 3D coordinate system you could use anywhere. You just set a 0, 0, 0, and then you measure everything from there. That's exactly what GPS coordinates are. You have to then take that data and you have to convert it into lat, long, and elevation. So the actual raw GPS data is X, Y, and Z values. So if you go out and record X, Y, and Z values, and then you take those X, Y, and Z values and plot them back into a graph, you'll get the exact shape that you just drove over. That's what Jesse did. So Jesse did that, which completely eliminates refraction. It completely eliminates all the optical effects that you guys keep trying to talk about. And it shows the exact same curvature that we expect to see, that Walter Bisland's models predict.
Quick question. How much refraction? How much refraction do you think is involved in your observations? How much refraction do you think is taken?
Not only that, but his GPS plotted data in a 3D space, when compared to my observation, shows that my observation does have some standard refraction involved in it, but it's not very much. It's not very much at all. Do you guys think that there's this massive amount of sinking that causes flat planes to look like globes? And that's just not the evidence.
There's obvious refraction taking place at the end of these pylons. There's obviously refraction taking place. You can see it down there at the base.
There's
of
more
the
clear
pylons,
days observations.
You can
They're
see
more
very
clear than that.
clear.
Right?
It's literally warping.
What?
It's literally warping back in on itself.
Hold on. Let me tell you something. Guess what? Mick West literally has a refraction tool that you can play with to produce this same exact effect with the rules of refraction that we know how they work.
Okay, but how did
it doesn't matter. Anyway,
guy...
that's what I'm trying to get to your point. That's what I'm trying to get to the point. You need to understand all the optical arguments that you're making are completely moot now. After Jesse went and did, after Jesse went and did
I have a
all the
question for you
GPS
quickly.
data.
You mentioned something about satellites.
When Jesse went and did the GPS recordings, your optical arguments are completely moot now.
His GPS data. Look at my screen. Can you see my screen? How did this guy recreate these? How did this guy recreate curved guardrails on a flat dammed road? How did he do this?
Because it's not a flat road, genius.
Oh, really? It's not a flat road. It's not like he's looking down 5 miles of road. It's not a very long dam. And this is refraction.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Did he prove to you that those rails were straight?
Are you telling me that this apparent
warping answer my question. Did he prove to you?
No, I'm not going to answer your question because it's a loaded question.
Exactly. He didn't prove to you that those rails are straight. You just assume they are.
Are you telling me that guardrails are going to warp back in on themselves? What was there a car crash? Was there a car crash? Did a car crash?
There's guardrails that are all types of shapes. What are you talking about? Did he prove to you that they're straight?
Look at this. Okay, here's what I'm trying to show you.
Let me ask you this too. You see this picture behind me?
Hang on. Do you see this warping? Do you see this warping?
Did I take this picture from 4 inches or from an inch above a hot road?
Yeah, but you know what? It might, to scale, it might be a decent corollary to your very, very long distance. And how many meters above the water were you for the pylon observation?
This observation right here, okay, this one that's behind me right here,
yeah,
was done at 150 feet, dude.
You see this right here? You see this warping at the end of the pylon?
That observation that you're showing
looks exactly like this warping. It looks exactly like this warping.
No, it doesn't. It's actually not the same curve at all.
It looks exactly the same. It literally goes around. It curves.
No. Explain why the top. Explain why the top of the transmission lines is curving, because that is completely away from the horizon, miles away from the horizon, and it's curving all the way back to the observer.
Wait,
you can't explain that.
The top of the pylons are miles above the water line?
No, they're miles back away. The whole curve is miles and miles away from the horizon, dude.
It's also in the refraction zone where the bottom of the pylons are clearly refracting.
We have
I mean,
models that show
The
this.
bottom.
You-
I don't care about
I mean,
models.
I-
The
the
bottom
amount
of
of
the
backbending you
pylons.
have
The
to do for
bottom.
this,
The
Chris,
bottom
is
of the
absurd.
pylons.
You can
the
see the
bottom of
curve.
the
So what? Who
pylons-
cares? We have
The
models
bottom
that
of the
predict that
pylons
observation.
are
you can see the
clearly
curve.
refracting and
You can see the
warping
curve
back
way
underneath
before it
them.
starts refracting. What are you talking about?
And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
and
You
so, unless
can't
you're
see it.
telling me
Come on,
that
man.
you know
They're just going to
in
keep
that
ignoring
tiny
all
little
the stuff that
span,
you
the
their
pylons are
theory
going
is
to
there.
warp back
It's
underneath
already
them.
There's a
That's just
tremendous
bonkers.
amount of curve way before the refraction even starts.
Chris, can you
I don't
choose
know, I
another
don't know what
image?
your problem is.
Can you choose another Stanley image of the a few weeks ago when he went back, when it was crispy clear, it was no
Yeah.
refraction
Well,
whatsoever on the
Stanley's
bridge?
right
at
there.
least?
Why?
Go ahead.
Let me ask
Go
you
ahead,
this.
share
Why?
your
Let
screen.
me ask you this. Why do you? Let me ask you this. Why do you guys always look for the anomalous observations instead of picking the clear observations? I literally have observations of New Orleans where you can see a checkerboard of windows from the Shell building all the way down to the horizon, and then boom, crispy hard horizon. Why don't you guys talk about that one? Why don't you guys talk about the GPS readings by
Wait, but
Justice?
you're
Why
not
don't you guys
talking
talk about the
about
days,
this.
the days that I don't have?
Let's talk about GPS. Hold on, guys.
This is a
You guys-
famous.
Hey, I've been
this is a
listening to you
famous
guys all
Stanley
the time.
observation.
Can I interject, please? Let's talk about GPS. Soundly suggested we talk about GPS. Let's roll back for a second. Soundly, I have a question for you. You're referring to GPS satellites, right?
Nope.
What are you referring to?
We all agree. We've all agreed for a long time, flat earthers included, that GPS works. Now, you guys claim that it's ground based. Doesn't really matter. GPS works. So, however the GPS works, we're getting data that is X, Y, and Z values.
Well, it
That's
works
correct.
by imposing a
Hold on,
mathematical
guys.
model
Excuse
of the
me.
globe onto
No,
the
it
planet.
does not. No,
Yes,
it
it
does
does.
not.
I
No, it
put
does
two
Can I
things-
just
not.
talk to Soundly for a
It
second
does
here?
not
Yes,
do
it
that.
does. I
What
put
you're
two-
saying is wrong.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I
I'm
put
just
two
trying
links
to
in the
clarify.
side-
It is
I put
flat
two
earth
links from university-
propaganda.
put two links from universities.
Nami,
in
did
the
you
side
even
chat.
watch his
Hey, Nami,
explanation?
What you're
Did you even watch
saying is factually wrong. It's flat earth propaganda.
No,
and
actually,
you
it's
believe
not. I
it.
just put
Hook,
two
line,
links in
and
the
sinker.
side chat
That's
from
all there is to
university.
it. I'm not going to discuss it
Two links from
anymore past that.
universities from side.
What you're saying is incorrect.
Two links from
Earth
side chat from universities. You're
coordinates
talking
is
over me
what
because you're
GPS is
pointing
based
at
on. No,
black-
Nami, did you even bother to watch how he plotted it?
no, he did.
I don't know what you're talking about
Oh,
specifically.
then maybe
I'm
you
talking
shouldn't
about-
criticize it.
No,
If
no,
you
I'm
have,
talking
if you have
about-
no idea, if you have no
No.
idea how he plotted it, maybe you should
Nothing
hold
to do
off
with
on
it. I'm
criticizing.
talking
it.
I just want to leave on this one note. I'm going to leave right now. I'm going to get Jen Panda in. I'd rather give my position up for him. But I
That's
do
That's
understand,
fine.
Talking
you know,
about
I did
S-word.
address.
I'm
that
just
fact.
tired of arguing with people that have these
Sandy,
misunderstandings.
let me finish, please. I'm going to leave.
They,
I'm going to keep
they
leaving, leave
try
the
and
table.
build arguments on top of those misunderstandings, and they expect me to sit here
Sandy.
and just go with that. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to correct your
I'm
misunderstanding.
not going to go
before
with
we
your
move forward.
bullshit, man. I put two links in the side chat from universities.
Nami, did you watch him
Nami.
plot the data?
I'm not
Google Earth
talking
Center,
about his
Earth.
data.
Okay, everybody in the
I'm
chat.
not
Nami's not going to
addressing
do it
his
because he's
data.
brainwashed.
All right,
Everybody
guys, let's talk
else-
about plotting in the
Guys,
data.
guys, can I
GPS.
just take my piece and leave the room so I can get Jen Panda in?
That's great. That's great, Brummy.
Yeah,
Good
it's
job.
great.
Thank
Thanks a lot,
you.
bro. You guys have been waffling like for too long right now, and you always
That's
flat earthers
great,
are all-
Brummy.
flat
I'm sure
earthers are
what you're
all- shut up
saying
now,
is going
Lewis.
to
For
help.
fuck's sake, can you just stick a sock in it for a minute?
Yeah, I can, and I think you should, and just leave. You don't have to tell everyone you're leaving to leave.
Oh, what's it like being a spastic?
Soundly, do you believe that buildings in the distance can disappear bottom up due to
In the end of the day,
factors
right,
due to
you guys
factors
don't
other than
Flat
Earth
earthers, right,
curve?
don't want. Can you just shut up for a second? Flat earthers don't want to address why the evidence isn't flat. There's loads of evidence to show you that it isn't flat. Why don't you focus on that rather
Shut
than
up,
arguing about
Tommy.
the
I'm
damage all the
talking to
time?
Soundly over here.
Yes, whatever.
Soundly,
all you guys
Soundly.
want to do is argue about the globe this, the globe that. Let's
I never
argue
want
why
to
it's not
discuss
flat.
why there's
It's so
not
much easier
never
to
an
prove that it
observation.
isn't flat.
Right.
To prove it
Tommy.
being a curve.
Tommy,
It's so much easier to prove that it isn't
Tommy,
flat.
you're acting like Nathan Oakley. Shut up.
Yeah, well, that's the truth, isn't it? You don't want to face the evidence and the things that.
Hey, I
come
want to
from it.
ask
No
Soundly a
possible way.
question. I
There's
want
no
to ask.
possible way it could be flat. So yeah,
I want
as
to
I
ask
do-
Soundly a
As I
question.
do, I'm going to give up my position for Jen Panda.
Okay, thanks, bro.
In a bit, boys.
Let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay, Soundly, real quick, do you think it's possible? Do you think there are other explanations for how distant buildings, ships, whatever, can disappear bottom up other than Earth's curvature? Do you think that's possible?
The temperature gradient that would be required to do it is exceedingly rare, and then you would have to explain how that exists year round. So you'd have to have these really crazy sinking conditions that would have to exist year round, and it just doesn't. I mean, you can't.
But do you think curvature is the only viable explanation for how things disappear bottom up?
Well, of course. I mean, it is the only viable explanation. Yes.
Okay, so do you deny the science of angular resolution, diffraction limits, and all that stuff?
No. Why would anybody deny science?
Yeah, that's another thing you do. You jump to conclusions.
All right, come on. Red's Rhetoric, Soundly, one of you guys, come on, answer the question.
I mean, once you zoom in on it, it's no longer beyond the angular resolution that
No, magnifying will not change the angle.
No,
from which you're looking at
if
it.
you can see the building,
Magnifying
if you can
won't
see a
change the
building
angle.
behind the horizon, if you can see a building behind the horizon, then you can see far enough to see that building. That's all there is to
Well,
it.
no one's denying you can see far enough. The question is, due to the angles, will the bottom of it disappear sooner?
It sounds like you're saying that the
No.
angle you look at something has something to do with it being obstructed, which
Have you
is
ever heard? Have you ever
retarded.
heard of angular size? You understand what angular?
Yeah,
size
yeah,
is?
angular size.
Well, you
Yeah,
know
Right,
what
right,
angular
so let me
size
ask you-
is,
wait,
and we're
wait,
trying to
wait, wait,
explain
wait,
to you
wait,
that you don't know what the fuck you're talking
Hang
about.
on, I know
How
you guys
about
get
really
triggered.
the-
I know you guys
you
get
should hang
triggered.
on. Maybe
No,
you
I'm not,
should
I'm
hang
not
on.
triggered.
This
You're
is the
trying to play
crux.
games. You're
You
trying to
guys
play
are getting
games.
triggered.
This is literally what
One
we
at
are,
a time.
we are literally
crux of
veterans
the
that have been around this
argument.
game long enough to know that you're trying to play word games. We know that's what you're trying to do.
Argument. Hang on, let me type something here.
Is
I'm
angular
sorry that you don't
resolution a part of
understand
the argument. No,
cameras.
not
Okay.
from my observations. That
You
has
guys
nothing-
getting triggered because this is the crux of the argument. So I'll explain it real
No, I'm not
simple.
triggered at all.
When
I'm just
things
stopping you.
when
I'm just
things
stopping
get
you
further
from
away,
doing
do
work.
they decrease in angular size? Do things as they get further away, do they
Yes,
decrease in angular?
uniformly. Yes, uniformly.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, not
Uniformly,
uniformly. Because
Yes, uniformly.
Yes, uniformly.
Yes,
No,
uniformly.
No, it depends.
Yes, uniformly.
Depends on a few factors.
Perspective.
uniformly.
Dude,
Jose is correct.
perspective.
Perspective
What is
is a
what is
uniform
your answer?
change.
Perspective, right? Yeah.
There's
it
literally a
converges.
formula to
It
describe
converges to
and
one
it's uniform.
point.
Sorry,
It converges to
Hang
one
on,
point.
there's 5 people talking at once.
Okay.
I can't listen to
Perspective.
5 people.
Okay,
yeah, we're going to
perspective.
keep interrupting you whenever you make mistakes. That's
Yeah,
just
No,
what
it's
it is.
just
Perspective.
5 people
Stop
talking at once. That's
interrupting
all it is.
people. Just one at a time. God's sake.
Go
I
ahead.
don't know
Jose.
why should we do this? We played this game for how long? How many times do we have to sit here and listen to people
Soundly,
make the same arguments over and over again
Soundly, do you
while
think,
they ignore
Soundly, let
while
me
they
ask you,
ignore stuff like this
Soundly,
where we literally have
do you
tools
think flat
where we
earthers
can
should
show
be censored?
refraction.
Soundly, do you think flat earthers should be censored? By
Flat earthers
YouTube?
aren't being censored.
Well, no.
no.
YouTube admitted it. Should they be
No,
censored?
no, they're not admitting it. They didn't say they're going to censor you guys. They
Yeah,
said
they're
exactly
going
the
to.
opposite.
They're going to remove them from the recommendation.
Right, they're
That's
going to.
censorship.
That's right. That's not censorship. Sorry, censorship will be removing your
That's
video from
censorship.
YouTube.
Okay.
No, censorship will be
Oh,
removing
yeah,
your
you're
videos
kidding,
from
man.
YouTube.
Oh, give
Okay,
me
let me get a word in really quick. I'm being polite. With
Don't
perspective,
bother.
things in the distance reducing angular size appear smaller with the distance. Uniformly,
Not
the sky
uniformly.
appears. Hold on.
Not
With the
uniformly.
sky,
They do.
the sky appears to go down. The floor appears to go up with the slant effect, along with everything on the floor. It reduces in angular size uniformly, converging to one point. That is perspective.
Yeah, so this is the tool also that you can
No,
play with
Jose.
yourself.
No, Jose. No.
If you'd like to,
Jose, I'm
that,
trying to find a picture. For
Shows
you,
the
Jose.
refraction. We kind of skipped over that whole
I'm gonna see if I
observation.
can get this picture for you.
But that whole observation that he was talking about can be completely modeled right here on McWest's little tool. So
yeah,
go
but
ahead. and do
here's
that
the
for
problem,
yourself.
guys. Here's the problem with the model. What if the rate at which things disappear bottom up in the distance also happens to match the rate at which things would disappear due to angular resolution?
Oh, if only we had
Things don't
something like a
disappear
camera
due
to
to
zoom
resolution.
in.
Sorry.
Zooming does not change the angles and diffraction limits associated
It
with
changes
your height
the
and your
angular
distance.
resolution, you goddamn mongoloid.
No, it doesn't.
No need, Luis.
It doesn't? It doesn't change the angular resolution? Wow.
Okay,
Wow, you
you've
heard it
just
here
proven
first,
that
guys.
you don't know anything.
Okay,
Good job.
no. The angular resolution, the diffraction limit, okay, that
Hey, please define diffraction limit. Go ahead and do that.
diffraction limit, from my
Mhm.
understanding, diffraction limit is the point at which
Word salad.
I haven't even finished, but okay, it's a word salad. It's at the point at which when light goes through an aperture, there is it's called a diffraction limit. And in the context of these observations, It's what is causing distant things to disappear bottom up. It's not too
No.
complicated. But
Oh
you
wow,
got,
I
you
have
gotta
no,
go into the
I have no
science.
better idea what you meant before.
Can I give you the correct definition, a more layman's terms, a more correct definition?
Here, I'll
So you
pull
can
it up
understand.
for you. Let me find
It's
it.
the minimum angle that you can tell the difference between two different sources of light.
Hang on,
This
I'm
is
gonna get that video for you. Where the hell is it?
So if you have,
oh, there it is.
if you have like two stars that are right next to each other, the diffraction limit says that there's a minimum angle that has to exist between those two stars for you to be able to tell them the difference.
So
between
it's really easy to understand once you, maybe if I have to visualize. So okay, so I'm going to share my screen here so you guys can
So
see this.
if you can
Boom.
zoom in and literally see the object,
I am sharing
right?
screen.
It has
Okay.
nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the
I'm
diffraction.
sure.
limit.
Okay, so Jose, you said that things disappear into the distance due to perspective uniformly, but angles are
Just ignore
different.
the entire
Angles
thing.
are
It's amazing.
different depending on a number of factors. One of the most important factors would be if the person's eye level is closer to the ground than the height of the object. they're
Why would that
looking
have
at.
anything to do with it?
That's what I thought. Well, at one point, not anymore, because it makes no sense. It just doesn't work. Geometrically impossible. It doesn't work.
Well, that's a word salad.
You don't know
Yeah,
what
it's just
diffraction
not-
limit means, and you keep saying it as though it's some type of argument. That's
Soundly,
what I
it's a
just
really
pointed out.
simple
to you.
diagram. You should be able to understand it. It's really simple.
I
Look at it.
swallowed this explanation.
There's
I
a
believe it.
smaller angle on the bottom of the tangent line than the one above. Which one has a smaller angle?
Yeah. So what? So what?
So what?
So
He could,
things,
he could be lying on his stomach. So what?
so do things with distance get smaller in angular size?
That
Yeah.
has nothing
uniformly.
to do
Okay,
with the
okay,
argument
okay,
that you're
listen.
making right now.
Listen.
For example, if I then turned my camera 90 degrees and put it on a wall, you should still see the same exact thing if what you're saying is correct. What you're saying is incorrect because we know if I did that on a wall, it wouldn't occur that way. If I point the camera straight up in the air on the edge of a skyscraper, then as a drone flew directly up, we should suddenly see it starting to get obstructed by the freaking
Yeah.
skyscraper. That doesn't happen.
You can do it with a
That
skyscraper.
doesn't happen.
Yeah, it will
No, you can't.
eventually. If the
No,
skyscraper,
it doesn't.
If those
It does not happen. You're wrong.
You think it happens, Red. You think it happens, Chris, but it doesn't.
The skyscraper.
Hey, Jose, pull up that
Hey,
video you
I
took
don't
of the
think
water
there's a
tower.
single
That is the
skyscraper
most
in the
absurd
world
thing.
tall
I'm
enough.
on-
That is the
on a
most
mobile.
absurd
I
thing
cannot
I've
share.
ever heard. I've just pointed out a very common sense reason
what are
why
you
saying is
disputing
wrong.
about? Guys, what are you
And
disputing?
you're
What are
trying to
you-
say you're trying to say a skyscraper is not long enough, while in the meantime, your flat Earth shepherd Nathan Oakley did it over 30 meters or 10 meters or whatever it was. So what are you talking about?
I think that's the important point. That the
Well-
evidence that you have to believe in this sort of obstruction all comes from these short-range observations, such as Nathan and his book, which refute the idea that this matches Earth's curvature.
Guys,
Um,
are you denying
or
the
the
principle?
proposed Earth
Are you
curvature.
denying the principle at play on screen here?
Absolutely denying it. It's absolute
Why?
nonsense.
Why
I'm
would you
denying
deny
that
it?
you
It's a
know
smaller
anything at
angle
all
on the
about
bottom.
optics.
It's
That's
a
How do
smaller,
you,
ang-
an
it's a
adult?
smaller angle on the bottom, so the bottom will have a smaller angular size than the top, so the bottom will disappear first with enough distance before the top does. That's what I mean.
Let's show real-
Jose,
let's
you
show
do
real
that.
That is
life.
not what- that
Real
is
life
not what
evidence and
happens with
footage,
angular
not doodles,
size.
bro.
It doesn't make things disappear
the
behind
principle,
things.
Jose,
It makes
the
them.
principle.
It makes them.
Jose,
It makes
the
it so you
principle.
can't make out one object against another. It doesn't make an object disappear behind something. That just isn't what angular size
Yeah,
is.
but no, we're not talking about disappearing behind.
But
We're talking about disappearing bottom up. That's what we're talking
Well,
about.
that
here.
would be behind something. It would
And when
appear to
something,
be-
when the bottom
it-
portion of something has a smaller angular size, it will disappear before the top because the top has a larger angular
well,
size.
that's just nonsense.
Well,
I
calling
mean,
something
it
nonsense.
doesn't
I mean,
happen.
I have a.
Do you have
I have
any
a
reason to
very,
believe
I have a
that?
very
What reason do
elementary
you have to believe
diagram.
that to be
It's
true?
a very
You-
elementary diagram. Anybody can understand it.
Okay,
It's
well,
right
your
there.
diagram's lovely, but what reason do we have to believe that your diagram represents reality in any way?
Well, in that case, are you going to throw away all your globe models because they're not effective?
I'm
forms of evidence?
You're contradicting yourself, Chris. You're contradicting
Why do you
yourself.
believe this idea
Jose,
of
you're just
from the
spewing
bottom
words,
up?
Jose. It's sad. I
No,
don't know
bro.
what-
You,
I don't
you're
know what-
showing
I don't
your
know-
lighthouse.
I don't
Dude,
know what
you're showing
happened
your
to you,
lighthouse.
Jose, I don't know
Chris,
what happened to you.
Chris,
man.
what's going on here? Chris, what's happening right here?
You're showing your lighthouse, Chris, that you can see the whole thing, but then now you're trying to explain what's
Sorry,
revealed from the bottom up.
I got 8 globetards talking at the same time.
That's fine. That's
Go ahead,
fine.
Louis.
Let's go with the lighthouse here. You see my screen, Chris? You might want to share this for your stream so everybody can see exactly how stupid you are.
Wait, are we deflecting from my incredible
Maybe you
diagram?
should just click
Are
on my
we- are we
screen
No,
and go with it.
this is the same thing. This is reading from the bottom up.
Structural diagram.
Are
This
we,
is exactly
deflecting from it?
exactly on the same vein as your diagram.
Yeah,
Okay,
same
go
thing.
ahead. Let's see how amazing this
Yeah,
is.
go ahead. Go ahead, share it. Put it up on the stream.
Oh, you want me to share your screen? Oh,
Yes, that's what I said. Yes.
okay. Let me see here.
Sounds like you might maybe have problems listening.
No, you're just a crackhead.
Definitely.
Crackhead.
Let me see here. Do I?
Oh man, Google Hangouts, super complicated stuff.
No, I'm just thinking if I should.
Don't share your stream key, dude.
The
Yeah,
elites smoke
Ju-
crack.
Just his screen only.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, go for it. It's all yours, buddy.
All right. So this is a lighthouse here. You can see the stripes: blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue.
Yep.
Up at the top, it's brown.
Yep.
Go over here later in the video. This is 17 miles away.
Okay, what's your point?
Boom.
What's going on here?
Literally, it's the boat diagram I just showed you, dumbasses.
No, it's not.
I mean, you guys literally didn't understand.
It's not showing on your stream. I think it would be really good for everybody to see how stupid you are. You should
Well,
share
I
this.
would ask you
Dude,
again.
shut the fuck
Raphael,
up, you dumb fuck.
I
I
would
think you
ask
should
you
share
again,
this.
what
Oh,
reason
actually,
do you
that's right. You
believe
see, yeah.
that your
So I
diagram represents reality.
You should share this on your stream, Chris.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to do it. I forgot.
You should, yeah,
forgot I had to
absolutely.
move that over. Okay. Oh my God! Oh look, guys! Oh wow! Big deal! I just showed it to you on the diagram explaining angular resolution perspective. It's really
And
simple,
you have to
guys.
explain angular resolution.
Actually, that's right. I can't put the screen. I
pretending to explain these things.
The diagram says something.
No, leave. Put it back up.
no, actually,
Put it
I
back up.
can't because I might get porn bombed.
Leave it up.
I might get porn bombed.
No, Lewis is not,
Hey,
man.
hey,
Chris, you have complete control over the Hangout. Okay,
Hey,
you
buddy,
can
hey,
control
buddy.
whose screen gets shown.
buddy, this is the first time I do this, so relax. Hey, what's the name of the video, and I'll
I
pull
might-
it up for you. What's the name of the
How
video?
about? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll link it. I'll link it for you.
Yeah, do me that.
Patrice, you got a lot of background noise. Patrice, mute yourself.
Is that what we're gathering here? No one's been able to share screen.
Patrice, mute yourself.
Lewis is connected to Israel.
Yo, Patrice. Patrice.
You can mute him, dude. You can mute him.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
somebody
think I
mute.
have.
There you go. Thank you.
How the fuck did he kick himself, or what was that?
Yeah, he left. You can mute people, Chris. You can also control whose screen is showing up on the Hangout by clicking their icon.
No, actually, for some reason on this version of Hangouts, I don't have those features. You fuckhead.
Oh, you don't have those features, those basic features
No,
that
I
are in
don't,
all
bro.
Hangouts?
No, I
Yes,
don't.
it's a call, not a hangout.
Did you
It's
send me
a
the link?
call.
Where's the link at?
The link is in the messages in the Hangout.
Okay. Show messages. Okay.
It's a call, not a hangout.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh
Thank you,
wow.
It's a
Is
different
that-
interface, Lewis.
It seems to work the same for me.
Doesn't
All
have
right.
control.
It's on the
It's
live
very
stream right
similar.
now. What do you
Not
want
so.
to do? Hey, what's up, I am? How you doing, man?
All right,
Hello.
I want you to
brother.
share
It's
share
like,
your
it's
screen.
Like, it's like 8 globetards versus me. It's fun as hell.
Hi, can anyone hear me here?
We're all here ostensibly
We're
to
in,
speak the
Scotty.
truth.
Okay,
Scotty's
so
a
you want me to
flatty.
show you the picture of the lighthouse? All right, there it is.
So
I
you
found
can-
it. Okay, there it is. There it is. Picture of the lighthouse.
All right, so what you're looking for is about about a minute in, minute 56 seconds in. There's a nice good shot of it. And then if you go towards the end, about 3 minutes, 30 seconds, there you have it being obstructed. About 17 miles
okay.
away.
Okay, guys, so this is a prime example of the angular resolution and perspective at distance. This
Exactly.
is bottom up. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
Beautiful.
less.
There it is on display.
There's a smaller
The
amount of
physics
light.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely
physics
not.
of vision on
You're super
display.
wrong.
It's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Not only are you wrong, but we've
Behold.
proven you're wrong with GPS.
Behold.
Game over.
Okay,
proven shit, mate.
so now that I've there's a nice.
Oh, we proved it. We did prove it.
You're proving how fucking dumb you are,
guys,
mate.
you guys don't have
So once
the
again,
mental
as you
capacity
can
to understand
see,
it.
we
I
have a
understand that,
boat
but you
here.
guys
We have a boat
have to know.
here.
We
We have to
have to.
brainwash more, mate.
As the boat gets further
Well,
and
we proved it with
further
GPS
away
that the
from
optical
observer,
arguments that he's currently
as the
making are
boat gets
completely
further
wrong.
and further away, you can see that the angle is actually shrinking as it gets further and further away.
Yeah,
And the
that's
entire
not actually
time,
happening
you can
here.
see that the
That's
angles
not
on the
happening here
bottom
because
under
you
the
can still
tangent
see the
line
top
are
of the
actually
tower.
smaller than the
What does
angles
that have to do with
above
anything?
the tangent line, meaning that there's a smaller apparent
How would that
angular
explain this at
size
all?
associated with the bottom of
Just
the boat
inventing stuff.
than the
You know,
tops of the boat, meaning
look,
they will blink
Red Pill,
out
if
of
you
your
do anything at
eyes.
all,
I gotta,
leave
I
this
gotta
on your
believe
channel.
it. I gotta believe it so
It's
that I
really,
don't hurt
really
my own
simple
feelings.
science.
Oh, I believe in a magical running from
Really
fucking wall. Oh, fucking
simple
dumb cunts.
science.
You know, I hope you leave this up so that all of your subscribers can
course.
see how stupid
Yeah,
you
you can
are.
see how stupid fucking globetards are. Yeah, fucking life, mate.
10 globe cards versus one globe skeptic. It's great. It's great
Chris,
stuff.
Jose have seen the light.
Globe
on the-
skeptic. You mean globe denier?
You can see
You're
the
not,
light.
you're not
too,
alone,
Chris.
Chris, bro. I'm here. I
Hey,
just can't get the
Jose,
word
you
the
fucking
edgewise.
shill cunt. Who you
Skeptic.
working for? Jose, who you working for, cunt?
You're sure as hell not a normal
I
skeptic.
work for the supermarket. HEB.
Cunt. That's a really good argument, cunt. Good job.
It is, mate.
Yeah.
It is.
I know. Calling people
I've-
names. That's a good
I
argument.
work
Good
for the
job.
supermarket,
I've
bro.
got a question.
Good job.
I've got a
You're calling
question for
people
the
names. You're awesome.
I've got a
You're
question
so
for the
awesome.
Hey,
You're calling people names.
I've got a
Wow.
question for the
I'm
Globers.
convinced the earth
Hey,
is flat because he calls
Hey,
people names.
hey,
Good job.
moron. I've
Awesome.
got a question for the Globers.
Please call us
okay.
names.
I've got a question for you, is all right? You're saying the Earth's moving, right? How could you tell? When did it, number one, when did the Earth start moving? And number two, how could you tell?
You can tell by doing Wolfie's experiment, replicating that by measuring weights at different latitudes.
Yo, really? So
Yeah,
common
really.
sense,
You know,
Let's do it.
common
Globebusters,
sense doesn't come to the argument, does it?
Laughable.
Globebusters
a little bit
did
of math, a
prove
little
it
bit of magic.
themselves. Actually, Globebusters proved this themselves.
Or you can buy a ring laser gyro and prove that it's rotating just like the Globebusters did. You can do
Yeah.
that too.
You mean the ether's moving?
It looks
yeah.
motionless.
Well,
We
yeah,
all
let's
need a
invent
laugh.
things.
We all need a laugh. Let IAM talk for
If-
like a minute. We interrupted.
Yeah,
Let's have a
If
laugh.
the
Yeah.
Go ahead.
globe
Let
is
I am-
spinning, we'll
let
be
I am
at
talk.
15
Let-
degrees
hey,
per
hey.
hour.
Wait,
We
Jose,
detect
you're not
15
gonna
degrees
shield.
per hour.
You're
not
that's
gonna shield, Jose.
ether.
Scotty,
Scotty.
Lewis,
Scotty.
let IAM talk for a minute.
Yeah, I am. Go for
Well, okay, sure. Look, there is no experiment that's proved the Earth moves, and that's fine. Let it happen.
I mean, if you discount all of space, sure.
Space? Really?
I love how when
Space?
you guys don't know something, you
Yeah.
are just ignorant about it, you'll laugh.
Space,
Every single time
I-
you laugh,
you laugh
that's you
because you're
saying,
so fucking
I'm a
stupid, that's
moron.
I know you are, man.
My bad. Scotty is the one that must talk for a
I know
minute.
you are,
Have a
but what
laugh.
am I?
Let's
I mean,
let Scott
it's-
talk for a minute.
It's so
Have a
it's so
laugh.
bizarre because like you
It's so
guys are
bizarre.
like
It's common sense debunks the globe.
you're not
It's so
even-
bizarre.
No,
You're not
common
even
sense makes it
1%.
look like a globe. Sorry.
you're not even 1% of the population,
Fucking
man.
no way.
Right?
Scotty's
Ask-
making a lot of
Ask-
sense.
Just take this to a logical.
Louis,
Process.
are you kidding me? You're doing science by consensus now? Come on,
Just
man.
take this through a logical
Of course
process.
he
here.
is.
No, are you doing
How
science by
much-
consensus now?
How
Of course
much?
he is.
They're
How much
consensus
have
worshippers.
you
That's how they operate.
contributed
So
to
They're
the world?
consensus worshippers, man.
How
But
much
you
have you contributed to the world?
Intellectual
There you go.
bandwagoners.
Jesus, man. Is
Is
that
More than
your
you
argument?
did.
How much have you contributed to the world?
Is that your argument?
Inventions
let's
by
just put the
scientists
poll
and
where it
engineers.
is.
Literally
That's your
all
argument?
of them.
Of
The
course
point-
that's his argument.
point-
Inventions
the
by
argument
flat
is
earthers
very
are
obvious.
zero.
The point is very obvious. The fact is, a majority of the
What is
people in
obvious,
this world
man?
A majority.
that the
What
Earth
does that
is
have to do
Majority.
with the facts of the matter?
Did it sound
In
like I was
numbers?
done?
Are we doing
Did it,
science?
did it sound like I was done explaining? Because I was actually
this
still
picture behind
talking
me,
when you
that's
started
obvious.
talking.
Give me some math and magic, mate. Give me some math and theory, mate. Come on.
Here's a picture
Yeah,
behind me.
have you
that
read,
shows
Not making any
200
sound
feet worth of
argument. It has
building.
nothing to do with
I
numbers.
ignore that. I guess.
I'll just wait and probably never get the
Yeah,
opportunity to.
Yeah,
make
because
the
you're
point.
full of shit. What does that have to do with numbers? What does that have to do with people achieving things?
This has to do with the way you see the world compared to how everybody else who actually contributes.
Absolutely
to the
nothing
world
to do with
sees it.
reality.
Appeal to
Absolutely nothing to do with
authority
that.
like a coward.
If entire world believed in flat Earth, Nothing would
Appeal
change.
to
Nothing.
authority.
Absolutely nothing would change from a
Well, it's been
technological.
fun hanging out with you crazy people.
Everybody says it's true, so it must be.
Hey, Soundly, I got a question, man.
Well, that's not
Soundly, I
why
got
we
a
think
question
it,
before you go.
that's not why we think it's frowned. But the
Hang on, I
point
gotta
is,
ask
this
Soundly a
is for
question.
you. This is no. I gotta finish the point I was trying to make.
No,
Is
you're not
that
going to
fine?
finish the point
Is
you're
it
trying to
okay?
make.
Is it okay?
Because
Is it
your point
okay
is
if I
invalid.
actually get it out?
Stop playing the victim, Louis.
I mean, if my point's actually invalid, then you should easily be able to point that out when I'm done.
I just did.
Well,
I just pointed that out.
I didn't make it. I didn't make the point.
You're making point about the numbers.
Lewis,
That wasn't- that
You
wasn't-
said, have you achieved
I'm not
anything
gonna convince him of anything.
in this life? What is that supposed to mean? Is that your
It means
a
you're
new?
supposed to be comparing yourself to the people who disagree with you who have achieved things.
How do you know
Just an
people
asshole,
achieve
man.
things
It's
and not
just
flat
another Glober.
Are you kidding me? Is that your argument?
No, it's just something to make you be skeptical of your own position.
It's just
Hey, Lewis.
Skeptical of your position.
Hey, Lewis, have you
Skeptical
got
of
past
your
the
position
scientific
and my
method yet?
position. Lewis,
Hey,
your
guess
argument
what?
has nothing to
Scientific
do with the point
method.
at hand right now.
Yeah, have you got
Flat
past it yet?
earthers don't do the scientific method. Are you serious right now?
We don't do it. We don't do
arguing
it.
with flat earthers.
Dude, you have to get. You're like
What's your
literally the second
your
step
natural
of the
phenomenon?
scientific method is developing a model. You guys don't have one.
No,
Sorry.
it's not, mate. It's
Yeah, it
natural
is.
phenomenon.
You
What's
can
your
develop a model once you
What's your
understand
natural
how it works.
phenomenon? Come on.
No, it
What's your
looks
natural
flat.
phenomenon?
No, I'm sorry. You have to develop a model to form
Hey,
hypotheses.
Soundly,
about it.
Soundly, I have a question, technical question for you. You seem to be very technical about GPS and satellites and how it works.
I'm
So
not,
I've asked you
I'm not a
before.
geologist.
I've asked you before, but you didn't answer.
You're Jesse on for that type of stuff.
No. I'm genuinely curious. Genuinely curious.
Right,
I'm
he
trying to
just
understand
said he
how
just said
we
he was
remind-
genuinely
Excuse me,
curious.
Louis. Let me make my point.
He actually
Can I ask a
gave
question?
you the answer to your
Can I
genuine
ask a question?
curiosity,
You guys
which
been
is somebody
talking
who
for like
is
an
a
hour
geologist.
already. Can I ask you a question? Soundly, I want to ask you a question, bro. So this is out of genuine curiosity. I need to understand how you think the GPS works. So it's understood that you don't really have a preference whether it's orbiting the Earth or it's ground based. Am I correct?
I don't have a preference. I know how it works. It works with satellites, but flat earthers claim it's ground based.
Okay, no. Let's go with your assertion. Let's all take it for the face
How about
value.
you just recognize the fact?
Excuse me, Louis.
that
I'm not
GPS
finished.
works
One
X,
fact.
Y,
Excuse me, I'm
and
not
Z.
finished.
Let him talk.
I'm
man.
not finished.
Why don't you just recognize that?
Well,
It
I'm
doesn't
not
matter
finished,
how
buddy.
it
Don't
works.
talk over me.
They literally
Doesn't
don't
matter how-
understand
I have
3D, and
a
that's the problem.
question, and if you just shut up, you let me ask it, you'll understand where I'm going with this.
Well, get to it quick, man. You're taking a long time.
I'm getting to it quick. I'm trying to understand where you stand as far as GPS is concerned. So I understand you think it's goes around the Earth.
I think
So
GPS
I'm trying to understand.
works.
Yes. Okay. Let's go with it.
Mhm. It has
Let's go.
practical ramifications, so we know it works.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand how it works. Help me out with this.
It tells you where
So
you
you're
are.
saying that you've measured the curve using GPS data. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Haven't you watched anything lately?
No, I haven't. watched
You only
anything.
watch flat Earth videos. You don't ever watch debunker videos.
No. Can we get to the point?
Let him finish.
That's
Keep
probably the
insulting,
problem
or
right there.
if I watched, I wouldn't ask this question.
How was that
Now-
insulting? I'm asking you a legit question. How are you being
No,
insulting?
if I watched, I wouldn't ask you. If I watched something that contained the answer,
Well, you should watch things that challenge your beliefs, right?
no, I'm talking to you right now. Are you going to refer me to the video and not answer the question?
Well,
that-
Jesse,
is that your argument?
we're talking about
Stop
Jesse's measurement.
obfuscating, Stanley.
I'm not obfuscating. What are you talking about?
Bullshit.
Come on, Sound
Yes,
just
you are.
let me get to the point here quickly.
Come on, guys.
Let me get to
Sam-
the
let-
point.
let
If you
Sam
stop
talk. Come on.
interrupting,
Yeah,
I'm just
I haven't
doing
been interrupting.
question and answer
I'm
kind
trying
of thing.
to tell you that Jesse Kozlowski took the measurements. Number one. Number two, GPS works. Flat earthers and globe earthers believe
No, I
that.
understand.
Number
I'm
three,
not
it's
denying
Earth-centered
GPS
Earth,
works.
fixed
Sound
coordinates. What else
you're
is there
going
to
in
ask?
completely wrong
Go ahead.
direction. This is not where I'm going with this.
Okay.
You have opinions that have nothing to do with my point. I'm trying to understand how you think in your model the GPS positioning works to measure the curve. If GPS satellites goes around the curvature of the Earth, at any point of the position of the GPS satellite, the altitude will remain the same compared to the ground level. Is that correct?
The altitude of the satellite?
Yes.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there
So
are
how
some.
can
There
you
are
measure
some
the
actually.
difference if you're going
actually
along
are
the same
some
curve?
Actually, are some in oval
Yeah,
orbits
so
right now because they
follow the
messed up.
curvature. So how can you correct? How can
No, because they
you
messed up.
calculate? Explain that to me. How can you calculate the curve following the same curve underneath the satellite that goes around the curve. If the altitude of a satellite remains the same, how can you measure Z? How?
They're not measuring Z.
You aren't
That's
using
not what
one
they're doing.
satellite. You're using 3 satellites.
Yeah, they're not measuring Z anyway. They're
least.
literally
No, you
triangulating.
said XYZ. You said XYZ. This is exactly what you said.
Right, XY.
And I'm not denying that.
They're not. They're not
This is how they
measuring
work,
altitude. They're not. You're saying they're measuring altitude, and you're saying that Z is altitude, and that's incorrect. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. Z is not altitude. X,
What is
Y,
that?
and Z. If you imagine a cube, like a Rubik's cube, right? And I say go to square 1, 3, 3, then you have to go 1 over 3, 3, or 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back, right? And that's
Hold on,
X, Y,
Tommy.
and
Are
Z
you
value.
saying that GPS satellite do not measure your latitude position?
Correct. They don't do that.
Then we're not living in 2D freaking cartoon world.
That's what. See, this is what I'm trying to get across to you: is that you don't actually understand how GPS works.
No, I understand reality. I understand.
It doesn't
I understand
measure latitude,
geometry.
longitude, and elevation. GPS does not do that. What GPS does is it tells you an X, Y, and Z value of your current location.
You cannot without
Then you
knowing
map
the latitude.
that. Then you have to map
Boundary.
that to
Hold
the
on, man.
geoid or map that to
Hold
the
on.
ellipsoid to come up
Dude,
with.
it
lat
cannot tell you the
longitude.
position if
Exactly.
it doesn't know your
You
elevation.
have to map it to the.
Yeah.
You have
It doesn't
to-
have
cannot
to.
do
It doesn't
that.
have to
Right.
know your
Right.
elevation. That's
It
what I'm trying to get across to
absolutely
you.
has to know
No, it
your
doesn't.
elevation to know your position.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
No, it does not.
So are you sure about
That's,
it? You willing
yes,
to stand
that's,
on it?
that's why I'm
Well,
trying
tell
to get
us
across
why.
to you
Tell
that
us
you
why.
don't understand what you're talking about. I've been telling you why. It's like a cube, and it's triangulating the X, Y, and Z value inside of that cube.
Yeah, you cannot
That's
do
what
that.
it's doing.
Where in the
How can you
cube
have
are
three
you?
dimensions? How can you have 3 dimensions without the X, Y, and the Z?
No, hold on. It's not about 3 dimensions. The fact that
It is
satellites
an X, Y,
above
and Z value.
you-
That's what I'm trying to get across to
Hey,
you.
hold
It's
up.
an X,
Hey, Sleeping
it's
Warrior.
an X, Y, and Z value, not a lat, lon, and altitude value.
Sleeping Warrior.
That's
just
where you're
said-
making your mistake.
Sleeping Warrior just said you need a minimum of 4 satellites for altitude, and it isn't accurate enough with just 4. You need 7 for 4 decimal places.
So what?
that- for what it is.
Yeah, Jesse
I
had
would
that.
only take his
Jesse
opinion
had
on eating.
Jesse had 4-inch vertical precision on that day.
How does he explain blind spots?
What are you talking about?
How do you explain the blind spots in satellites where you can't pick up reception without X, Y, and Z? If they're orbiting the world, how
Right.
can you explain?
If they're orbiting the world, it makes sense that they can't see it. If it's a globe and you can only see part of the globe at a time, versus a flat plane where you'd be able to see the entire surface at the same time.
I think we'd have to know about a specific black spot to be able to offer an explanation.
we
Because
need
there could be
we
a,
know
there could be a
everything we
number
need
of,
to know about
Hang on,
soundness
well,
understanding
actually-
of a GPS.
actually,
there
you
could be a
wouldn't be
number
able-
of different reasons for that.
Okay, so what are the
I'm not
reasons?
aware of any. I mean, there might
It
be
could be
some.
you're in a tunnel, couldn't it? I mean,
A tunnel? What if you're not in the tunnel? What if
well,
you're out
like
in
I
the
say, there could be a number of reasons for that. And if we're going to talk about black spots, we would need to know the specific black spot, and then we could offer an explanation.
Yeah, I'm not really interested.
But
in
trying to
doing that.
offer a
No.
single explanation for every satellite black spot that may or may not exist is silly.
Let
me get this point out.
I don't find GPS impressive as an argument at all because
Let me
as
get
far
this.
as
I
I'm
know.
concerned,
I know.
it could
that.
just be- It could
I know
just
that.
be
I know
a
you don't.
globe model. It could
I
just
know
be
you-
a mathematical globe model.
But that's
No,
not.
I
what
agree
it
with
is.
you, but when they use GPS
That's
to say
exactly
that
how
they measure
GPS
curves,
works.
I
If you
want
study
them to
physics,
understand
The reason you
how
don't believe that GPS
actually
is a
works.
valid argument
And using
It's
GPS
is the
you
same
can
reason that
never
you don't believe that
measure
pictures
a
from
curve.
space is a valid argument because it
actually-
completely
hold on,
decimates
hold on,
your
hold
argument.
up your arguments.
That's
Come
why.
on.
Academic
One,
literature-
one at a time.
If you study the academic literature on GPS, you will find that's exactly what it does. It's just a black box. It imposes the geoid assumption.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does. If you
No, it does
research
not.
it. Well, okay.
I have researched it. I keep referring you
Shut
to
up, I'm not
Earth-centered,
done. Hey, let me
Earth-fixed
finish my
coordinate
sentence,
system.
asshole.
Unless you look that up and read it, you'll
Why
never
couldn't you
understand
shut
why
me
you're
up,
wrong.
Lee?
You understand that?
Can
You
you
know,
explain to us,
The
Sound?
word you said, because I'm trying to.
Can you
I have-
explain to us
I've-
why we're wrong?
I've tried to
can't
explain a
understand
number
it
of
if
times. I
you
keep
can't
getting
understand it.
interrupted. If you
can't-
got
You
can't
saying
guys
that
don't
GPS
listen.
satellites do not measure altitude. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
They're not making a direct measure of altitude. That's
No,
correct.
you said they do not need to know the latitude. They do not measure. You said the Z is not the altitude.
That's
is that
right.
what you said?
Mhm.
So where is the altitude in the measurements of satellites? Do you
They
understand that?
They take those Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinates, and then they map it.
Soundly,
They-
hold on.
they-
Soundly,
they
you
do a
don't understand the question.
transformation
Soundly,
to figure
you don't
out.
understand the question. X,
To go
Y,
from
Z
one
represents the
coordinate.
entirety of 3 dimensions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bound to have the elevation.
No, because it's,
Come on, man. Are you serious?
Are
Do
you
we
going
have
to let
go
me
to that
answer?
grade
Are you
3?
going to let me answer, or are you going to keep talking like this so you can feel better about yourself emotionally?
No, I'm not feeling better. I'm
That's
feeling
what you're
terrible
doing.
about
I'm
myself.
trying to
because
answer
I'm amazed
I'm trying
that
to answer, but you keep
XYZ
interrupting me.
XYZ
Right.
refers
If I draw
to all,
if I draw a cube,
all directions
draw
of
a
3
cube.
dimensions.
If I draw a cube in space and I say right in the center of that cube is 0, 0, 0, and we're going to measure distances inside of this cube from that spot. Okay, that has no awareness,
From
no
what
need
spot? I'm
for
sorry.
a circle.
I
Or a
misunderstood you. Can you elaborate on what spot
The
are we
Earth is a
measuring from?
cube.
If I draw a cube, right? Imagine
Yeah.
a cube floating right here in front of you. Okay,
3-dimensional,
a
right?
three-dimensional cube.
Okay.
And I say the very center of that cube is going to be the center of the Cartesian coordinate system, 0, 0, 0. Okay, that's our center point. And then
Cartesian.
every point inside of that cube has a.
I'm
X,
sorry,
Y,
I'm not
Z
understanding. English not my first. Cartesian is 2D, right? It's orthographic. Is that correct?
There's a 3D version of the Cartesian coordinate system, obviously. X, Y, and Z values.
Okay.
Like that's what
Sorry, go ahead.
video games use, right?
Okay.
So you have these X, Y, and Z values, right? And we're going to say, okay, the center of this cube is going to be 0, 0, 0. And so every point can be measured with the X, Y, and Z value from that 0, 0, 0 point, right? That's
Yeah.
how GPS works. They have these machines out there that are triangulating your position, and they're telling you, okay, you are inside of this cube.
All right, I understand.
You are at X, Y, and Z.
I understand what you said. So you basically you reversed the position. You reversed the question and answer. So it doesn't matter whether a subject measures the satellite distance or satellite measures the target. It doesn't matter. The math is the same. It doesn't matter from which direction you measure your distance to the building. The distance is still the same.
Do you understand that once you have
No, I understood.
those
Listen
X,
to
Y,
me
and
what I'm
Z
saying.
coordinates, that you can then
The
graph?
very fact that they're using these 3 words X, Y, Z implies 3 dimensions, which refers
Of course it
to
is 3
all the known directions in this reality. Am I understanding this correct? Are we agreeing on that? X, Y, Z refers to all
I agree it's
possible
3D.
directions.
I agree it's 3D. I don't agree with
Okay.
the
If it is 3D,
New Age woo that you
ipso
just said after
facto,
that.
it has to measure
Whatever that was.
elevation.
No, it
Am I
doesn't
correct?
directly measure elevation. It tells you where your X, Y, and Z position is inside that
Yes,
cube. Then
X,
you
Y,
have
and
to
Z
transform that.
implies elevation.
No, it doesn't.
Dude,
Elevation.
we're not
elevation-
living on 2D world.
Elevation is the distance from the ellipsoid. The ellipsoid's somewhere inside that space. But you
Then
have to
you can't
tell me
refer
where-
to it
you have
as
to
a
first say,
three-dimensional
you have to
reality.
first say, okay, here is
Soundly,
where the
come on.
ellipsoid is, and your position is X, Y, and Z. So now we have to calculate based on the ellipsoid and your in this X, Y, Z position. You have to calculate your altitude off of the ellipsoid. That's
So-
how it works.
No, I understand how it works. You saying that it doesn't measure the elevation, and I'm calling you on that. You are full of bullshit.
No, it does not measure.
Totally.
I don't understand why you're
Because
not
I'll
getting this
explain to
very
you.
simple concept. It does not measure elevation. It measures your X, Y,
Ipso
and
facto,
Z
it has to.
position inside of that coordinate system, and then you have to say, also, there's an ellipsoid.
Yeah.
It's located
So,
here.
Can I explain
And
to you
based
something?
on where
If
that
the
ellipsoid
satellites
is,
were-
and based on your position, we're now going to calculate
Yeah.
the elevation.
If that would be correct. If satellites were at exactly the same position in terms of altitude as the subject that they measure. If they are not, ipso facto, they have to measure the latitude. They have to know
Stop
at
saying
what
ipso
elevation
facto, 'cause you don't
you
know
are
what-
to give you correct coordinates.
Yeah,
Dude.
they do know. A satellite can position itself.
You're right now claiming that we don't know how to triangulate people's position. That's true.
No, I'm claiming that you don't know what you're talking about. You
I
said
know exactly what I'm
said
talking about. I'm not
no,
guessing.
You
here.
said
I'm not guessing
you
here.
said that
Tell me.
satellites do not measure the
I'm
altitude.
not
That's
guessing.
what you
I'm
said.
telling you the facts. I am trying to teach you. You are rejecting that knowledge.
No, I'm not rejecting knowledge. I'm rejecting what you're saying. You're saying satellites don't measure altitude.
Very simply, I think most people.
So can I get to the point finally?
I think there
If
might be a
satellites
breakdown in
measure,
communication.
and by the
here.
way, satellites do measure your elevation.
Well,
That's how they actually work.
I think
They measure your
there's a
XY coordinates at all
misunderstanding-
times.
There's a
But
misunderstanding
if
here.
they do, hold on, Louis. If they do, you cannot use that system of coordinates.
So for everybody else that's out in the chat that's willing to give this an open, honest listen, go get Geo++, which is an app you can get on your phone, and it records raw Rhinex files. And you can convert those raw Rhinex files into X, Y, and Z values. There's software that does that on the internet. And you can see that the GPS coordinates are, in fact, X, Y, and Z values. You have to take a further step.
I'm not denying it. I'm
You have
not
to take a
denying that
further
it's
step
XYZ.
of-
I've
okay,
never denied it.
X, Y, and Z does not imply an altitude. I'm sorry, it just does not.
It implies all the known direction in this reality, which includes left, right, up, and down.
No, it implies a very specific position within a coordinate system. That's what it. That's all it is.
Yeah, coordinate
Check
system
out
not
channel
in the
Q,
2D
Jay.
world, right?
Triangulated by
Right.
the satellites.
Listen
or-
to what you're saying,
Yes,
Stanley. If the elevation did not
triangulates
matter,
very specific.
you do not need Z. You absolutely do not need Z if elevation did not matter.
Dude, you don't
This is like a
understand
basics of a 3D understanding. A basics.
There's
The
definitely
minute
a
we mention
elevation.
that, we're talking about
is
elevation.
from the center of the cube.
What the fuck
do you
does
not
the cube has to
understand what
do
you're
with this?
talking about? Elevation is not Z. It's not. It's Z is like
Okay,
north
pick your
to
letter.
south.
It could be Y,
Or like
depending on your rotation of the
meridian.
matrix. It could be Y, it could be X, it could be Z. I don't care. The minute you utter those three axes, you're talking about one of them being an elevation.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Then
why
All
is
of-
that?
dude, you
That's
just
the
made a
problem.
fool out of yourself.
Look,
and-
all,
come on.
all three
You're
coordinates.
misunderstanding.
All
You're
three
misunderstanding.
coordinates refer to a position relative to the origin. Now,
Yes.
I think an issue that's coming across here in the communication is where is the origin?
The origin's at the center of the Earth.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. The origin's at the center of the Earth. You have X, Y, and Z values based on the center of the Earth. Then you have to say the ellipsoid is this shape right here at this position. Now we have to calculate the altitude from the ellipsoid.
Oh,
That's gonna
thank
be
you. Now we're
important.
talking about the altitude.
Now he says
That's
altitude.
exactly the point
You
I'm trying
finally
to make.
understand. I appreciate that you finally understand. Do you understand
No.
that now this whole time you've been
Okay, now we're
incorrectly
talking about
saying
the
that
center.
Z
Yes.
is
So
altitude?
they do measure elevation, the altitude,
They don't.
whether it's a ground level or not.
No,
You just said it.
elevation is a calculation
There's
that
an
is made
addition-
from the measurement.
That's right. The measurement is taken, and then there's an additional step that says the geoid is here, and we're going to transform this X, Y, and Z value into an altitude from that geoid. That's an additional
Okay,
step.
so the point I was trying to
After
make
that.
is you saying that the satellite can tell you your elevation.
That's what he said.
You can calculate your elevation from the satellite data. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay,
said it.
so in the picture where satellites orbiting the Earth, remaining at the constant, more or less, elevation or altitude, how? Explain that to me. How can you measure a curve if the satellite position in the globe model relative to the center of the Earth remains
I really hate to say
unchanged?
this again. I really hate to say this again, but I feel like I have to.
No, I'll
GPS
explain it
is
to you.
not
I don't think you're
measuring-
understanding the question. At
GPS
any
is not
point on the
measuring
ground, you
a
would have
curve.
about the same
That's
distance
not how
to the
GPS
satellite.
works. You've asked me a question. I'm trying to answer. GPS does not measure a curve. Okay, it measures a location. You are at an X, Y, and Z location.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. Didn't you
Go
say somebody
record.
proved the curve using GPS coordinates?
Yes. So if you go and record a whole bunch of.
So ipso facto, they measure curve.
Why are you interrupting
If
me?
they don't measure curve, no, I'm interrupting you
Why are
because
you
you're
interrupting me?
contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you're
Yes,
saying
you
they do
are.
not measure curve. They do
No, I'm
not
not.
measure the altitude.
I'm saying from the data, from the GPS location data, you can plot that graph and then you can measure the curve from that. Yes, it's an additional calculation on top of the.
If you can measure a curve from the data, ipso facto, whatever device measures your position measures the curve.
That's so pedantic. It's amazing. We can't even
Not
have
pedantic. You cannot derive from data which is not in the data.
I'm trying to be very clear about what I'm saying and what you guys
No,
are
no,
trying
no.
to do. is
If
play
it's not in the data, you cannot derive it.
That's what you guys do on a regular basis. You play word games instead of listening to what I'm saying. You take these locations.
No, you can say that you can derive the data and the curve. That doesn't mean it's a reality.
You take these locations that you just recorded
dude.
that are not aware of a sphere at all. They're
Dude,
just
you just
X,
made
Y, and
complete
Z.
fool out of yourself.
And you plot them in a 3D space, and you
What a
see
glober. You can't plot something in the 3D space if it's not measuring 3D space according to you.
It is measuring a 3D space. Are you
All
not
right,
listening?
can I try to explain this? Because there's a
He's literally intentionally.
No, he's not. He's
Yes,
not.
he is.
He's, no,
He's
he's
either
not.
intentionally obfuscating or he's completely.
Guys, why don't we go back to angular
I
resolution?
agree.
diffraction limits?
I agree with
why
that.
don't we go back to this
So-
thing you guys ran away from? It's
Well,
really simple.
because I really
You
like
guys see it on
like
screen.
a 2-year-old.
Disappearing bottom line.
I don't like
I made-
angular
I
resolution.
made it
I'm
really
not gonna sit
simple.
around and play
I made it
obfuscation
really
games with
simple.
you guys all
so
night.
the
It's really
cards
simple.
could
The
understand.
Earth is a globe. We've
It's
proved
really
it.
simple.
beyond any
Only
shadow of
if
a
it
doubt.
was
I made it
simple,
really
you would not be
elementary.
here.
One
at a time.
A little 4-year-old could
If it was
understand
simple,
it.
you would not
Little
be here.
colorful colors.
You could have
and
answered
little
the question
man.
in regards to GPS satellites.
Jesus Christ.
It's just fucking stupid. I mean,
Yes, you're being complete stupid, man.
Indeed, indeed.
I've been asking you, I've been asking you
We can all
elementary
agree on that.
questions about
I'm
GPS
answering
positioning
and I'm trying
that
to
you
teach
couldn't have
you, and
answered.
you're a 5-year-old sitting in your chair looking up at the teacher and saying she's a moron for telling you 2 + 2 = 4. You don't even understand. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it's really frustrating
Come
because
on,
it
man.
sounds like
You
you're
sure about that?
intentionally
Guys,
obfuscating.
all right,
That's
let's
what
get
it
off
sounds like.
satellites.
It sounds like
Come
you're trying to
on,
lie to people.
Let's
on
get
You know who
off
talks like
satellites.
this?
Let's get
Tyler
off
All right.
talks
satellites.
like this.
Okay, so
I get triggered, Nat.
All
I
right,
get
there you
triggered.
go.
Sam,
Should
Sam,
Flat Earth be censored by YouTube? What do you guys think?
Sam, the issue
Should
that I
Flat
think
Earth
is
be
happening
censored by
here.
YouTube?
Chris, yes,
No,
absolutely, it could.
I-
It already
I saw your video on that, Red Pill, and I think it's not being censored.
Yes,
Not
it
much,
is.
It's just not being recommended.
That's
And I
censorship.
think I think
That's a
what
form
they're
of censorship,
saying.
Jeremy.
That's what they're saying. And
understand that.
everything-
No, we're
Jeremy,
not even
everyone
talking about
Can I
recommended.
say-
If you
Can I
search
just get a
Flat
few
Earth,
sentences out? Do you think?
Did Soundly rage quit?
yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Bye, Stanley.
All right.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're not-
YouTube is. I mean, anybody who denies that that's censorship is just fucking delusional.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
People-
how do you
people
define?
don't
I would
understand
say.
what censorship means. Apparently,
Targeting
Well,
one
okay,
specific.
what does censorship
targeting.
mean?
Okay, I'll define it for you.
No one's stopping you.
I'll define
No
it.
one's
I'll
stopping you
define
from
it.
saying what you want to say.
Targeting
Let the
one.
host talk.
Let me define it. Targeting one specific subject because YouTube and other corporations and political interests don't like it, and then removing it from getting exposure on YouTube deliberately through algorithms. Yes, that's fucking censorship.
Right. So
Oh.
that isn't what's happening. For a start, let me tell you, the YouTube recommends on the homepage 200,000 videos every day, but uploaded to YouTube are 300,000 videos every day, which means by definition, a third of all the content that is uploaded to YouTube is never recommended and never will be. So it
Jeremy, I
isn't
think
just,
you misunderstand what
hang
we're
on, I
discussing
haven't
here.
finished.
No,
Hang on,
hang on,
I
hang on.
haven't
Let
finished.
Jer- let-
Yeah,
you don't
let Jeremy
understand what
finish.
we're talking about here.
Hang on. Let
You're
Jeremy
talking
finish.
about
Hang
recommendation
on. Let Jeremy
that has
finish.
nothing
Hang on.
to do.
Let Jeremy finish. Hold up. Let Jeremy finish.
Well,
Go
come
ahead.
on, man. We already went over this point.
Hang on,
He's
Jeremy, go ahead.
misrepresenting what the
Why
recommendation
can't I just
is.
finish the sentence? Why is
Sam,
that so
Sam.
bad?
No, I know where he's
Why is
going
it-
with this.
why
man.
must I be
Go ahead.
silenced?
Go ahead. Sorry, I'll mute.
Well,
Okay, go ahead, man.
well, yeah. 300. So a third of the content isn't being recommended
Oh, you
anyway,
mean I'm on here?
and
Oh, yeah, sorry.
and never will be.
Just listening to
So I
the debating it.
Oh,
Back
for
to talking a
God's
bit.
sake.
Hey, Brummy, could you turn your microphone off? Thanks.
Thank
Oh,
you.
right. Sorry, I could just hear you talking the whole time. Sorry about that, Gem Panda.
Right.
Keep going, man. What were you
It's
saying?
like a conspiracy. So yeah, so well, that's really my point. Is that a third of the content isn't being recommended anyway. I don't think it's specifically flat Earth that's being targeted. Although I know they did.
Flat Earth.
I know they did name flat Earth, and I know they also. But they gave it as an example, and they gave 9/11 as well.
They said those are the ones they're targeting.
Well, I mean, that's not how I read it.
And they said they're going to remove them. They said they're going to remove them from recommendations going forward in 2019. That is an active attempt to minimize exposure. That is censorship. Period.
Well, I would agree.
He's not wrong.
Well, I would agree it's minimizing exposure, but I don't think I think for it to be hang on. Well, let me just finish with this point. I think in my book, for it to be censorship, they have to be actually stopping you posting those videos or removing those videos.
I disagree.
That's how I understand censorship.
I disagree because recommended is part of what gets exposure on
Do you
YouTube.
think YouTube as a
and
private
it's the
entity has a right to
establishment,
control what
it's
content
YouTube,
is
big
promoted?
tech censoring ideas they don't like. Yeah, I mean,
Do you think YouTube has a right to control what content's promoted? Do they have that right as a private entity?
Are you a liberal?
Does YouTube have that
Do you
right?
stand with mega corporation, big tech,
Do you believe
silencing
YouTube
voices
has a
they don't
right
like?
to choose
Are
what
you
they
a
do?
liberal?
They're
Are
not
you a
private,
liberal?
Lewis.
Are
They're
you
not
a
private,
liberal?
Lewis.
So are we moving from no
They
censorship
absolutely
to they
are.
have a right to do that?
No, Lewis, they exist based
Louis.
on our taxpayer money. They're not
They are
entirely
a
private.
private organization.
Lewis, are you a
Louis,
liberal?
we
Lewis,
moving
they wouldn't
from
exist
the
without
question of
taxpayer
whether or
money,
not
so
they're
you could
censoring
argue
us
that they're
to
not
whether or not
There's
they
a
have
lot
right
of
to
things
do
that
that?
don't exist.
Lewis,
They're
are
still
you a liberal
privately owned.
leftist? Lewis, are you a liberal
It's
leftist?
debatable, Lewis.
No,
Lewis?
Trump's a good president.
But are you a liberal leftist?
Would a liberal leftist say Trump is a good president?
Okay, so you're saying you're not a liberal leftist.
Trust me, he's definitely not a liberal leftist.
Jesus
Trump's
Christ.
Trump's a part of the system like everyone else. No one voted him in.
You can make
I
the
am.
argument. You can make the argument that big tech has the right to shut down any ideas that they don't like.
They're not shutting them down.
Telephone companies
You're-
are a private company,
you're
but you
implying
think they should censor what you can say on a telephone?
Jesus Christ,
They are
Patrick,
shutting
shut
it down.
up.
They are shutting.
You
it down.
shut up. You're connected to Israel. Your
They're
uncle
not-
is the ambassador
They're
for
not,
Israel.
they're not shutting anything down. You're implying that they
His
should
uncle,
be
the ambassador
forced
for
to put
Israel.
whatever
I
you
think
want
he's a
to put on
liar.
there. They
I
don't
wouldn't
have to.
trust him.
They could take every video that you upload and say, no, we don't want this. And they wouldn't have to give you a reason. And that would be completely within
Right.
their right.
Yeah,
You are
I'm
correct,
very
Luis. Is
familiar.
that a censorship or not?
What
In
do
your
you think
opinion.
of? What do you think of because in that statement they seem to label flat Earth as harmful. That was the word that was used. I wonder what you guys thought about
Well, I
that.
don't remember if they used the word harmful. Did they?
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
stupid to think flat Earth is harmful. Only
They
an
did
idiot
say
would
it
think
was
flat Earth is harmful.
Only
Well, it
somebody who deep down knows it's flat would think flat earthers are harmful.
It was also mentioned with people who try to.
It's
make
harmful.
videos.
It's harmful once you start thinking for yourself.
So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's where the harm was.
Being
I
a
think, in relation
skeptic is
to
harmful.
people.
Being a skeptic is harmful.
All right, yeah, that's cool.
Very.
Medical conditions and saying that there are miracle cures for them.
Oh,
I think
like
those-
medical marijuana was once
those were the
demonized by
videos
the
that
medical consensus. Like medical marijuana
Dude.
was once demonized by the
no,
medical
no, we're not,
consensus.
more like drinking bleach.
Marijuana made black people right, mate.
Who the fuck recommends drinking bleach as a medical cure,
You'd
bro?
be
Get the
surprised.
fuck out of here,
You
man.
would be
Get the
surprised.
fuck out of here. Dude, if
be
you're dumb
surprised.
enough to drink bleach, you should probably drink bleach.
I agree with that, and I have a very similar opinion with people who think the Earth is flat.
Well, I bet you.
Oh, that
do.
is a straw
I don't
man,
know why
dude.
you're so triggered. Do you feel that way about people who think Bigfoot is real?
I have a very similar opinion about people that think the Earth is
I mean,
hollow.
why are you so
Because
triggered? Why
Lewis
are you
thinks
so
he's
triggered by
smart.
flat? Why are you so triggered
because
by
Lewis
flat
thought he
Earth,
was
but not by Bigfoot? Why
Because
does
he thought
flat
he was
Earth
smart,
trigger
but
you,
he's
but not
not.
Bigfoot?
Here's how it breaks down. If someone is dumb enough to believe something stupid, they should.
Like the globe Earth.
They should what? Be censored?
How about Bigfoot?
No, they should go on and believe that stupid thing.
So not censored though, right?
Well, I mean, you're not being censored.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
I mean,
you are.
I wouldn't censor you, and you're not being censored.
Okay,
but
when
I'm
you type
not
flat Earth.
okay.
Lewis,
I'm
you see how
saying
the bloke is like, oh,
you're-
look, hey, what a fat cock. That's what you
seem
sound like.
to be implying that YouTube should be forced to put everything up and promote everything.
No, definitely not that.
That's
but
not what we're talking
not
about.
Not that. But I think the preferential treatment for the globe, because they are giving preferential treatment for the globe. You type in flat Earth, type flat Earth into YouTube, and you get nothing but debunking videos.
Hey, Max, I'm not sure what you're snorting over there. But it's really loud.
It does sound like he's snorting something.
Hey, Max, are you there, Max? Can you hear us, Max?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm new over here. I just want to know about flat Earth and globe discussions. So
Hey.
I want to tell. I'm sorry, I'm just joining out, and I just want to know about globe.
Hey, if you have any questions, you want to say something, go ahead. But if you're not talking, please mute, okay?
Okay, I just want to ask to the globe parts what you guys call how the vacuum and the Earth is non-vacuum is staying together.
Don't worry, hungry hippo Lewis will answer that question. Obviously,
Yeah, they don't answer that.
Hey, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Don't porn bomb.
Is that the basic
What's your question?
Yeah, Pete, don't bomb bomb.
That's the basic question of how do you have pressurized system next to
Not a
vacuum
porn
with
bomber.
no
It's just a
barrier?
rumor.
Yeah, sure, mate.
Hey, the pressurized system against the vacuum is a great question. It's a great question, man.
I agree. It is a great question, and it implies that the only forces in that system are the natural tendency for gas to expand away from itself. But that's not the system that we live in.
What's the system we live in?
Hold on. What are you talking about? You're talking about that if you put a pressurized system without barriers, without container
Without barrier,
in the
right,
vacuum. And
Yeah.
we're talking about extreme vacuum. We're not just
It'll
talking about low
expand it.
vacuum.
Yeah, I get it. And even it doesn't even have to be a vacuum. Like any pressurized system next to another system of lower pressure will expand to equalize the pressure. That will happen.
Yeah. Well, so how much this Earth atmosphere has to expand to equalize the pressure?
Well, it's not the only force that's present here on Earth.
What other forces are you talking about? I'm very interested actually to understand your
Gravity.
opinion.
Gravity is the other force that's present.
The other force. So I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So you're saying that the gravity has enough pull on the atmosphere to act against the infinitely strong vacuum of space, right?
The vacuum of space does not.
No, please answer my question.
I did listen, and you said
no, but you're not answering the question. We understand that the vacuum of space, according to heliocentric model, or
the vacuum.
What is the vacuum? What is the vacuum of space?
First of all, you have a misconception.
The vacuum does not suck. What happens is the atmosphere wants to expand. The particles are hitting each other, and they're bouncing off. They have energy. And they hit each other and want to expand away from each
First
other.
of all, no particle in the universe ever touched each other. That's. I don't know if you knew that, but there is no touching. There is no heating.
I didn't know that we were going to have to be this pedantic about it.
Well, can you choose a different words? Because I'm not following you. What do you mean they wanted to heat?
Okay, do we have to break this down into the strong and weak nuclear forces as well? Max, could you please mute your microphone?
Yes, Max, please.
That's good,
Please,
thank you.
Max, if you're not
Max,
talking,
come on,
please
buddy.
mute.
If you're not talking, mute the mic.
Actually, I'm in phone, so I don't have any option to mute.
You don't have a mute button? I don't believe you.
No, I'm in phone right now, dude.
All right, do you have the Hangout window open?
I'm new in this hangout.
Do you have the call open on your screen?
Hey, man, I want to hear.
There you go. Thank you.
There you
Hey,
go.
I want to hear. I want to hear what you're talking about with a vacuum against a pressurized system.
So what makes a system pressurized is the fact that it wants to expand away from itself. We could talk about, why does that happen? But we all agree that gas wants to expand.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Towards what condition?
Towards a more equal energy.
Hold on, no, that you're not.
What
condition?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But carry
No,
on.
it does matter. It does matter.
It does matter, and it's a good question. What that's I understand that, Brummy. Thank you for your contribution. The problem is that if you think about gas as just simply wanting to fill up its container, that is the effect of it. But the mechanism behind it is that the particles of gas are imparting momentum to each other, whether or not they actually touch or not. Is
word salad, man. I'm sorry.
It's not word
salad. The question was very simple. Does the gas expands to a specific condition? And what that condition is?
It will continue to expand until...
Exactly. Thank you. So what stops the gas?
Dude, Sam, are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Are you serious?
It will continue to expand until the particles are too far apart to hit each other anymore. And then they will stop imparting additional momentum.
Okay. Let me go through this logic then with you. And maybe I'm wrong here. Let's just go with me here. So let's just imagine the very tippy top of a little tiny pressure in your mind that exists around the circumference of the Earth that has a tiny amount of pressure greater by whatever the unit of measurement you want to use, that of the next layer towards the center of the Earth, then compared to the outer layer where is extreme vacuum. Let's find that point. Let's find that separation point.
There is no like separation point like that.
Well, if we're talking about gradient, there has to be.
Well,
are you talking about gradient? Are you talking about hard cutoff? Or are you talking about infinite gradient?
It's an infinite gradient.
You know what I would like to ask you guys, both of you. I would like to ask both of you: have we ever seen an experiment in a controlled environment that shows that a pressurized system will sustain itself within a vacuum?
No. There is no such thing.
No, we haven't. But exactly. I would argue that that's not really the same thing because we're not capable of making gravity or another force that would act.
It's the unfalsifiable heliocentric model.
We can't create gravity.
It is falsifiable. You just don't accept the falsification.
No, Chris. If we're talking about the condition being
space travel.
Chris, if you're saying that the only condition for such experiment to be successful is gravity.
I'm just answering your questions about how you can have a pressurized system next to a vacuum, and the answer is you have.
Not just that. Wow. The answer is word salad. The 10th degree.
You have a force acting on the gas. That's the answer.
What's the force?
Guess what? We do have that force.
What's the force?
It's called gravity, which you already know.
Okay, so let's go with gravity.
Whoa, Luis.
That's good. Let's go with gravity. So at what point does the gravity overpowers? Let me make this clear. Overpowers the infinite power of the outer vacuum.
Right.
There is
why do you, hold on.
Power of the vacuum.
Yeah. Why do you think the vacuum of space, which is nothing, right, by definition is nothing? Why do you think nothing is capable of exerting a force on something?
What's a vacuum?
Sam, you have a misconception.
You're addressing that to me, I'm supposing?
Yeah. How can nothing?
It's a differential. I'll answer. It's a differential of pressure, right? So the system would always move. The pressurized system would always try to come to equilibrium, right? The power at which it does it, the strength, solely depends on the difference between the pressurized system and depressurized system.
Try to listen there, Sam.
Right, and we know that we can have that pressure differential because we have a pressure gradient, which is easy to check. We know that if you're at the bottom of a mountain, you've got higher air pressure than you have at the top of a mountain, and there isn't air rushing up the mountain to try and
I'm not debating that. That's not what we're talking about.
So if you know that there's a gradient from the bottom of a mountain to the top of a mountain, why do you think it stops somewhere?
You're talking about separation of elements, which kind of has to do with this.
No, I'm absolutely not talking about separation of elements in any way. I'd never mentioned that. That's absolutely not.
You're not saying that heavy elements and moisture doesn't go towards the ground?
I think you still have this misconception that the vacuum is applying a force to the gas, and it's not.
Yeah,
Space doesn't suck.
Absolutely does.
So a vacuum
what you've done is just you reverse the logic.
Suck. Sam, you don't understand.
The gas wants to expand. That is what's happening.
No, gas doesn't want to expand.
Yes, it does.
Okay, well, so let's go with that logic. Then if it wants to expand, it wants to expand towards what?
Towards less pressure.
Yeah, so then we can reverse we can reverse the equation. It's going to be the same math.
Sam,
right?
The gravitational force is stronger than the imaginary force that you're asserting in space.
There you go. That's the equation that we were listening for. We were waiting for. We wanted to hear that gravity is more powerful than the vacuum of space.
No. No. There's gravity. The only force at play here is gravity. Sorry.
Okay, Louis.
There is no
gravity. Can't prove.
You're right.
Go ahead.
Gravity is a weak force.
Yeah, he's completely right. The reason the atmosphere is here at all is because of gravity. The fact that
something you can't prove.
I'm sorry, Scotty. You obviously have something very important to say.
Have you yet? I'm still waiting for your fucking important information, dickhead.
The magnetic shield too, Lewis. If we didn't have the
going.
magnetic shield, the sun would blow the atmosphere away.
Can you prove gravity using the scientific method, Lewis? And if you're claiming you can, why don't we go over it?
Scotty, what does that have to do with how the atmosphere is held to the Earth?
Because you're claiming gravity. You're claiming gravity exists for this to happen. You've got to prove gravity first, mate.
Actually, I don't. The question was,
you
how do
do,
you
but
have a
you do.
pressurized system next to a vacuum? And the answer is you have a force.
Yes, no, he's right.
Yeah,
He's right. He's right. You guys, hold on. He's right. He's right. In their model, in the heliocentric model, gravity is a stronger force than the force of the vacuum that exists outside of it.
There is no force of the vacuum. Let me just keep correcting you on that.
Okay,
there is
fine.
no force of the vacuum.
Thank you.
A vacuum is nothing. Nothing cannot exert a force.
Well, how does a vacuum work then?
How does nothing exert a force? Explain to me how that works. You've got absolutely nothing, and it's able to exert a force on something. How?
You keep asserting that space has a force. It does not. That's where you're going wrong, because in your imagination, you're imagining that space has a force.
Imagination. You boys think you're a bloody magical spinning cartoon ball. In our imagination,
Don't
you
go
moron.
crazy. Let's just focus on your mistake of thinking that space has a force.
Your
Let's
mistake
focus
thinking
on
space
that
fucking actually exists,
problem.
mate.
Forget the rest of your
because you've seen science fiction movies where
but
all
a vacuum
the air
does
gets
have a
blown out of a
force.
spacecraft.
So let's say space
sucking
doesn't
the air
have
out.
force.
Well,
Let's say that
that
space
isn't
doesn't
what
have force.
happens.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go with this. Then all you're doing is just reversing the equation. The math remains the same. You're just simply reversing the equation. You're saying then the gas, and I agree with you, tend to expand infinitely until equilibrium is reached. Is that correct?
Somebody doesn't believe in space.
Well,
I mean, claiming to know about it, that makes no sense.
The equilibrium.
Have you been in space before? Have you confirmed space exists? Yes or no?
The equilibrium.
Oh, there you go.
Scotty,
Okay, mate. All right, buddy.
I think this is important for us to get over this hurdle of how do we know or you can't prove, because this simply is the model. What we're giving you the answers here. That
but you
is
can't.
the model.
You can't provide empirical evidence.
I understand that you, Scotty, do not accept it. So it doesn't do any good for you to.
And I understand you do accept it.
Say that. Yeah, thank you.
Bullshit.
Thank you. So if you're going to ask us questions about what the model is and how it works, don't jump in every 5 seconds to say you can't fucking prove the model to me.
Well,
hold on a second, guys.
Start proving concepts before you prove up in an argument, mate.
But stop acting like you understand concepts you don't believe in.
Well, hold on a second.
I understand them. That's
You
what I
obviously
believe in 'em.
don't understand them.
Yes,
That's
I do,
the problem.
mate.
You obviously
it's not.
don't. You're
You don't,
asserting.
mate.
You're
I
asserting
understand
that it
them.
has
That's
a
why I
force.
know they're
You
bullshit.
just asserted it has a force. Clearly, you don't understand it.
I never. When did I ever say it had a force?
It's infinite space. It sucks the atmosphere. No, you're wrong.
Okay,
No,
so
not
can
wrong.
you give me a practical demonstration?
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He's just describing it in the way that you don't like. He's not wrong.
Lewis
He's
can
just
explain it in
describing
detail,
it the way
right?
that you don't like. But
You
he's not
keep
wrong.
Sam, but you says that it has this force, and it doesn't have a force. When you say vacuum,
It doesn't
space,
matter. It's
you're
still the
imagining
same
that
math.
vacuum has a
Whether I
force.
call it a force of the vacuum or the force of the pressure of the gas. It
Look,
doesn't matter.
still needs to exist.
If you're asking us about our model, it matters. Your understanding of it is wrong. The vacuum does not suck.
Dude, do you know anything about this? About math? You just reverse the equation. Quote. I'm not arguing your point.
The vacuum does.
You can
not
say
suck.
vacuum suck or doesn't suck. The math still works
You
out.
call
the
it
same.
vacuum. It's just space. You want to argue semantics? Then go.
It's not a vacuum.
Okay, so you're saying gas is blows, right?
It's
gas
not a vacuum
bloating.
It's the vacuum of space.
Gas bloating, but the vacuum doesn't suck. That's what you're saying.
Let's just try and get the understanding properly. When you call it a vacuum, or you call it the emptiness or the space, what you're calling it, right? It's not a vacuum as like your house vacuum that sucks things up like that. It's just nothingness, okay? It doesn't have a force, and, and something that doesn't have a force isn't going to outbeat the force that gravity holds onto the atmosphere.
Right. I'm not claiming a vacuum has a force.
Of course it does.
No, I'm not claiming it has a force.
Absolute. How can
we're talking
nothing
about
have a
pressure?
force? How
We're talking
can it?
about pressure equilibrium, right?
Dude, a vacuum has a force. I mean, this is
It's
scientific.
Look, a vacuum is nothing. Is a vacuum nothing?
They're trying to play a word salad here and semantics.
No, we're not. Is a vacuum?
Yeah.
Do we all agree that a vacuum is a description of nothing? It's a space where there is absolutely nothing.
A vacuum is an absence of energy.
Can Ian explain to me
I don't agree.
how absolutely nothing can exert a force on things?
A vacuum is not absolutely nothing. A vacuum is an absence of energy that wants to draw energy back into it. It's the same as hot and cold. Okay,
That's
hold on.
nonsense.
Hold on. Let me explain. Let me explain.
How does something do anything? I'm sorry. How does nothing do anything?
Yeah, how does
All right.
nothing want to draw things back into it?
All right, you guys.
Right, well, that's your gravity. You just debunked the gravity.
No, gravity has something.
No, gravity is space time. Space is not
You're right,
space,
they did.
right?
Keep it
Time
on
is
space.
just a concept.
Focus on space.
Doesn't exist.
Let's let Sam. You asserted right that space has a force. Let's focus on that.
Not space. A vacuum has a force.
Oh my god.
No, it
What about
doesn't.
space force?
Yeah. Let me put it this way, okay?
Thank you, Dave.
For done with it.
Good one.
Vacuum exerts the force.
No.
Let's just put it that way
No.
on the pressurized system.
It doesn't.
Who
No,
thinks it does it? Like,
Whether it does on the pressurized system or pressurized system it blows outwards, it doesn't matter. The math works out
Okay.
exactly
Let's
the
assume
same
you're
way.
right. Let's assume you're right. Space is a massive vacuum. Why aren't we all flying in space now? Why aren't we all sucked off the planet and just going into space? If it's this
Well, that's
infinite
their
force that's
argument.
surrounding us,
Precisely, yes.
completely bullshit. It doesn't have a force.
gravity.
No, we're not going to be sucked out.
The fact that we have been
There's
sucked
going to
out
be
proves
no
that there's no
pressurized
force.
atmosphere above your head. Is what
So
I'm
the dome, you insert a dome. A dome.
I've
you've
never
seen before.
asserted that.
Is that what
you're
are you
gonna
going
fly
to
out in
insert a
space
dome?
because
Look,
of vacuum?
okay, you guys-
We are talking about. Listen, we are talking
Sorry,
about
go on, carry on.
pressurized system against vacuum. Does that make sense to you?
If it's true what you're saying that this vacuum is causing a force,
Which
that we
point
should all
is
be,
true?
let me
Why
finish
don't you
talking.
just
We should
why don't
all
you
be ripped
replace
off
the word
planet.
vacuum with nothing?
Nothing.
Say it again. Say it again.
Just use the word nothing
Why
instead
aren't
of
we all
vacuum
being ripped up
temporarily.
into the air? If that's the case, if it has a force, if there's a force around
So it's
us,
the force
like
of
that.
gravity against nothing.
So
Okay.
are you denying the fact that the pressurized system is going to move into low pressure system? Are you denying that fact?
It's not a fact.
Well,
It's not a fact.
that is the case if there's not
Jesus.
a force besides the
Yeah.
kinetic energy of the gas.
Oh, great.
Okay,
So you
excellent.
guys-
Let's talk about the gravity. Okay, you're saying that experiment to prove that the pressurized system.
No, Sam, there is a force,
No, let's go with it.
and it is acting on the gas.
Yeah,
You call it gravity. Okay,
What
I'm
is
going with it.
force?
I'm not denying it.
You
Do
can call
hear
it a
me?
rhinoceros. You can call it a
Do you
rhinoceros.
hear me?
Still gonna
I'm
be
not
good.
denying what you're saying. In terms of the model that you're presenting, I'm not denying it.
All right, great.
I'm just going along with it, and I wanted to illustrate to you the flaws in your logic.
All right. So, what are those flaws?
So, if you're claiming that the gravity is the force that holds pressurized system against infinitely powerful vacuum of space.
Okay,
Okay.
How we just went over this.
You just said.
The vacuum.
You just said
it does not apply a force.
Okay, can I elaborate on what I mean by that?
Hold on a second.
I mean, for the system to equally depressurize, it has to expand infinitely.
How can you not get what we're saying? We've pointed
listen,
out.
you're not getting what I'm saying.
I'm listening
For the
to you say
pressurized
it.
system,
Space has a
with
force.
gravity.
Lewis has pointed out as well, space doesn't have a force. So if you want to go with the model, like you just said, then go with the model. That is not the model. What you were going with is your interpretation.
I don't care how you call it.
The model.
I'm not going to call it force if that triggers you. Let's not call it the
You
force.
are not listening. It's like talking to a
Tommy.
dog.
There is no force.
Tommy, are you saying that a vacuum has no force?
Exactly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. You're saying that a vacuum has no force at all.
Yes, a vacuum has no force. A vacuum is nothing. Nothing cannot exert a force. Why is this difficult for you to understand? If you can explain to me how nothing is capable of exerting forces, please go ahead. I would love to hear it.
Can a vacuum change a pressurized system or not?
Sorry?
Can a vacuum exert a change on the pressurized system? Yes or no?
What?
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
Right.
It's
not a very clear question.
Can a vacuum?
It's a very clear question.
No, it's not.
Exert a change on a pressurized system.
Specifically, what situation are you talking
Okay,
about?
okay.
Well,
let me, hold on.
We're making it very clear here.
No, you're not. You're
the
deliberately
pressurized
trying to
system.
make it unclear.
The
pressure
pressure.
you can
I'm
create
very
a
sorry
gotcha.
if it
That's
sounds
what
like
you're
this.
doing.
What point am I not making clear?
I'm asking you to clarify specifically what you're talking about.
Okay, Sam, hold on a second. Let me change your question into a different question. Let me rephrase it.
Go ahead.
Can a pressurized system exert a force on a vacuum?
Pressurized system can make a vacuum not a vacuum.
Yeah, I won't see it.
Okay,
Doesn't exert a force on it.
So there's a force there
No,
between
the force is inside of the pressurized system.
And the vacuum
and the vacuum is nothing.
Talking about the energy, not the force. Louis.
Yes.
Wow.
What force are you talking about?
Well, if
The
these guys are
kinetic
saying,
forces of the particles in the pressurized system.
so the pressurized system, where are the particles going to? Which direction are they going to go if
They're
going
to have a net velocity away from the most pressurized part of the system.
towards what?
Towards
Not-
this pressurized.
Towards away from the center of the pressurized system.
Yes, which would be what?
Vacuum.
It would be away from wherever the most pressurized
Yes,
part of
and
the system
towards
is.
what? What would be there? A vacuum.
A smaller amount of pressure.
Which would be a what?
In the context of vacuum, Louis, come on, don't be dumb.
I'll tell you what, I'll go
We're
along
talking
with
about
that.
in the context of vacuum, Louis.
Sam,
Yeah,
let me
We're also
join you.
seem to have suddenly ignored gravity for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't gotten to the gravity yet. You guys
we haven't
trying to
got there
assert
yet.
Okay.
that there is no
Okay, well, hurry up and get there.
interaction between pressurized system and the vacuum by clinging to the word force. Fuck the word force. We're talking about interaction between two pressure systems.
Sam,
Movement.
let me talk.
No, we're
Let me
not.
talk as a flat earther now.
A
Yeah?
vacuum isn't a pressure
Unfortunately,
system.
Let me try to understand it the way you understand it as a flat earther. So what you're saying is because like there's air in the air and that there's no air outside of the boundary of like the globe, that all the air should be getting sucked out really, and it should all be going dissipating
It
into
has to go
space.
somewhere. Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's a gradient, isn't it? So it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So like the layers, when it gets to that point, there's it's.
And I'm going with it. Yeah, sure.
But space itself, if you're in space and you open a container, yeah, it will try to escape. But
Of
when
course
you
it
think
would.
about gravity holding it down, it's a different thing. You're saying true gravity, right?
Because when you see
Alright,
that happen in a movie, it's in a spacecraft which is pressurized.
Guys, gotta cut you
like
guys
a
off.
car tire.
Hey, guys, gotta cut you guys off. Sorry. All right, I'm done for tonight. I'm going to bed. Thank you guys for the discussion. and maybe we'll do it again.
What do you have for us next time to get us to come back on here?
The homework I want you to
No
take
good for
home.
me.
The homework you're going to take home tonight.
I think
is
maybe you should do
angular
some homework.
resolution, diffraction limits, and the very simple diagram I showed you. That's your homework. Go study it.
Okay, I've got
Actually,
I've got some
I'm
homework
gonna
for
send
you,
you a
Chris.
link. I'm gonna send
I've got
you a
some
link.
homework for you.
I think-
Celestial poles, declination of Polaris.
I'm gonna send you a link.
You need to do some more high IQ research late at night.
No, I've done
That'll
too
help
much
you out.
IQ research. That's the problem.
Shout out at Channel Q.
Here, I'm gonna send you a link to some homework for you. Let me see right here. Okay.
I'm a big fan, Red. Fucking keep it up, Red Phil.
Hey, thanks.
Good job,
man.
mate.
Appreciate it. There's your homework.
Say, guys.
Yeah, thanks
go
for having
home.
us, mate. Really appreciate it. Was a lot of fun. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
great
it.
time. Hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Great
Really appreciate
fun.
it.
Yeah, I got in a little too late. Didn't get a part of the action.
Good stuff.
Hey, Chris.
Even though some globetards want to censor flat earthers, that's fine, but it was good fun. It was good fun.
Hey,
Okay,
Chris, I'm
I
glad
see what
you
you
guys
guys
Should be
think.
censored.
I can see why you guys think certain things you think, but you're missing little details.
Yeah.
Not little details, massive details.
Censor me too, man. I know.
True.
It's like
You're missing huge parts of the picture.
Yeah, Lewis,
Hey.
you're totally missing angular resolution and our world. Like, it's a huge.
You
factor.
want to talk about that right now?
And
Let's talk about that right now.
Well, you guys deflected away from it earlier, so.
I mean,
We haven't got a
actually,
problem with it.
you have a
you and Sam
All
deflected
you've got is
away
just a
from
load
it,
of
so.
made-up bullshit, Chris.
Sam
Really.
brought us to this gas pressure, didn't
Nah,
he?
it's definitely not made up.
Completely
stuff.
made-up nonsense.
It is made up. It is made up, Chris.
You
Okay,
can't
bro.
honestly
All right.
believe objects
Hey,
disappear
you go
from
study
the
this.
sky.
Go
You
study
can't
this
believe that.
video. Go study
I don't
this
need to
video.
study it. We can talk about it
And-
right now. It's not my fault you have a shit show room going on here and you can't control it.
Hey,
Yeah, bro.
Lewis and Tommy, you guys are great, man. I love your fucking minds. Good stuff. I don't agree with you, but
Yeah,
I love what you're saying. I love it.
Yeah.
And I definitely want a bit more of a talk with you when I get a chance as well, because you do seem. I don't know if you're a troller or you're a troll, or you do genuinely, have these hard thoughts. Really,
Nobody's a troll, man. We're just trying to
you
understand.
laugh a lot at what we're saying. It's like you need to be understanding what people are saying, and it's not funny. Like you just need to kind of listen rather than just laughing everything off, because that's
Who
not.
are you talking about?
Isn't that what you guys do?
I mean,
It is
I
what
try
they
to
do.
understand.
It is what they do.
I try to understand flat earthers, and I can see why you're getting it wrong.
I
but
was
don't-
born and raised to believe in the globe, so I already understand the other side, at least in the
No,
simple
you
way it's
never
taught-
understood
At
it.
least in the simple way it's taught to us.
We all went through the same indoctrination.
You never understood
At
it.
least in the simple way it's taught to us.
You've said it yourself multiple times. Just because you can pass a test doesn't mean you understand the material.
Yeah, but I understood the very basics.
Yeah, you
We
never
all
understood
passed
it,
the
Chris.
test. We
You
all
never
did.
understood it, Chris.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you probably don't understand it because it is complex. Both models are complex.
It's actually not that complex. You're just slightly too simple.
Well, you don't understand angular resolution, diffraction limits, and all that good stuff. So.
You didn't say what you didn't give me a good reason why the light illuminates bottom of the
Well,
cloud.
you know what, Lewis? You want to talk
homework.
about it right now? We can talk about it if you don't deflect
right.
to another topic the way you guys did earlier.
So the minimum angular resolution of the human eye is 0.02 degrees. You understand that?
Yeah, theta.
All right. So if you have an object
Theta.
that's less than that, you
Theta.
can't see it.
Theta, I know. Theta.
All right. So you're on the same page with me right now?
I was doing homework.
You were doing homework. So what's the minimum resolution of the human eye?
Well, I don't. Is it 0.02 or something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, I bet you weren't expecting that.
You passed. You passed the test.
You did. Now that I know
See,
that
I
you're
was doing
actually.
homework. I studied a 3.5 hour long video. I was
All right.
doing my
So
homework.
what happens when something goes into the distance and it reaches smaller than 0.02 degrees? What happens?
It disappears from the bottom up.
Yeah, that's actually what happens generally speaking for most observations.
So imagine if you're looking at an eye chart.
Oh,
You've seen one of those eye charts, right, with a big E on the top. And eventually you get to those little letters down the bottom that are too small to see, right?
Sorry.
That is what angular resolution is.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said, imagine an eye chart. You know, when you go for an eye test and you look at that eye chart with a great big E at the top and then various letters in lines underneath it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So angular resolution is the point of when you can't make out those letters anymore.
Right,
But-
and this is
but
angular,
hold on,
and
hold
right,
on,
and this
hold
right
on.
here on screen
Hold on,
is
let me finish.
this
Please
right
let me
here on
finish the
screen.
point. Can I finish the point, please? So angular resolution is when you can't make out the letter anymore. But the letter and the eye chart don't disappear. There isn't like a hole there. You don't stop seeing the bottom of the eye chart. It's all still there.
The
You
eye
just
chart,
can't
the
make
eye
out-
chart, the eye
you-
chart is 6 feet in front of your face.
You
bro.
just, it's angular resolution. It doesn't
What
matter how
happens if
far,
the eye-
how
what
far
happens-
away
what
or
happens
close
if
it
the
is.
eye- what happens-
It's the measurement.
what hap-
It's the measurement of what your eye can resolve.
What
It doesn't
happens
make
if
any
the
difference
eye
how far
chart? What
away it
happens
is.
if the eye
Don't
chart?
be silly.
Oh, let me talk now, bro. What happens if the eye
Go ahead.
chart is a mile away?
Then
The
you probably
distance makes no difference. It's a
Distance
measurement
makes
of what
no
your eye.
difference in whether or not you can see a tiny
Hey,
letter
Chris.
E.
No,
It
that's
seems
not what
like
I'm
Louis,
saying. It's a
Louis, you better
measurement of
jump
what
in.
your
You
eye.
better jump in because your glow
It's a
buddy's sound
measurement
silly
of
right
what
now.
your eye can resolve.
Better
You
jump
could
in
have
quick.
you could have a vast eye chart a mile away. It would work in exactly the same way, wouldn't it? Don't be silly.
No. You're making the eye chart bigger to fit the 1 mile distance. It's silly.
All
We're
right,
talking
imagine-
about is
Well,
there
because you're not
eventually a
happy
limit?
with the small eye chart
things
that's
ever
at 6
dis-
feet away.
Do things
So,
ever
so
get
you can
far
have a
enough?
great
Nah,
big,
now you're just
you
trolling,
can have a
man.
great big
Hey,
eye
hey,
chart
hey,
a
you
mile
told me to
away.
let
It
you
makes
finish.
no
Let me
difference.
finish. You tell me to
It's
let
a
you finish.
measurement
Let me
of.
finish.
It's
You
a
tell me to
measurement
let
of.
you finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Are you telling me that things can never get far away enough to disappear out of your vision because you can't resolve it anymore?
I'd say not being able to. Let me finish. Let me finish. Not being able to resolve it and going out of your vision, whatever that means, are not the same thing. The bottom of the eye chart doesn't go out of your vision. It's
Oh my
still in your
God, dude.
vision. You just can't make out what the letters are.
You guys are denying basic science, basic
No,
physics
no,
of life.
you're
I mean,
making
it is
shit
sad.
up.
It is
You're
really
making shit up that you
sad.
got off Nathan Oakley. It's bullshit, mate.
Actually, I
It's
didn't get it from Nathan
bullshit.
Oakley. I got
Nathan
it from.
Oakley's a
I
sad-failed
actually I didn't
actor.
get
He
it from
doesn't
Nathan
know
Oakley.
anything about
See,
angular
this is hey
resolution.
Lewis, this is the same thing that happened earlier. You guys deflected off this topic because this is the key right here.
The-
You guys are scared.
We're
of
still
this
on the
shit.
topic.
Chris,
You're
the-
making
You guys are
stuff
scared
up.
of this.
Look, there's a big problem with your
you
explanation.
think the eye chart
Lewis,
gets
I can't hear you because Jem doesn't
you
shut
think the
up.
bottom of the eye chart disappears. That's what you think.
You're just not even understanding, dude.
No, you're not. Well, you're not able to explain it, are you?
Here, I'll try again, really,
Chris.
really slow. I even made it it's a very simplistic diagram for you guys.
Yeah.
Really simple. It's not hard.
Yeah, but it's just made up bullshit, dude. You don't have
here
any
we
reason
go.
to
Here
believe
we
any
go.
of it to
Really
be true.
We'll have
Listen.
another chance to debunk him after he explains it again.
Okay. So you got so it's this really simple diagram for simple minds. Okay, so you have a little person on the left. You see a
I
little
like
person.
the way you said that, Chris.
You see a little person there, right? You guys see a little person?
Yes.
Yeah, he's standing over the green. He's got a pink line. He's
Yes,
got
and
two
now you
eyes.
see- you see-
He's
you
got the
see-
two red lines that represent his field of view too, as
Right.
well.
You see a
Yeah.
little. You see a cute little boat, right?
Yeah, and the bottom of the red sail is exactly at his center of field of view.
That's not really the point, but yeah. So,
But
okay.
it is part of the picture, and I wanted to make sure we're looking at the same picture. I know we have a lot of miscommunication.
Okay, and yes, you can see
here.
like a pink line. It's like a tangent straight from his eyes, right? Goes straight out.
Is
Now,
that his eye line?
That's where his eyes are, and that's the.
But is it his eye line?
Well, I guess you could say it's his eye line. Whether or not it's eye level, maybe that's a different
Eye
discussion.
level.
Well, is it
Um,
eye line or eye level?
It's
Now-
it's the height of his eyes, the eye level.
It's a tangent from his eye, from his
He's
eyeball.
just trolling you, man.
Well, he probably is, but that's
keep
fine.
going.
That's I mean, listen. All right. So, guys, can you see that the bottom angle is smaller than the top angle? Do you guys see that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay, right. So when objects get further away, do they decrease in angular size?
Yes.
So now let me fast forward here. As the boat gets further away, it will decrease in its angular size, but because the angle on the bottom is smaller than the angle on top, the bottom will get smaller faster and will pop out of your ability to resolve it before the top does. So it will disappear bottom up. Simple.
Right, but the entire object is still within your line of sight.
No one's denying that.
No,
the bottom angle is smaller.
right, so,
the bottom
like, that's-
angle is smaller. We're
that's
not
the-
denying that. The bottom
Well,
angle
okay,
is
so
smaller. It's really
listen,
easy.
all right, so here's my response. You can divide up any object that's within your field of view into sections that are individually smaller.
No. It's dependent on
Oh,
the eye level. The
I'm
eye
sorry,
level-
I'm sorry,
the
I
eye
wasn't
level is
finished.
crucial.
I wasn't finished.
I don't care.
Yeah, but you just like you had your
I know
Chris,
you. I know
and
you
listen
don't
to
care.
you.
I don't care because I had 5 glow
Chris,
cards
Chris,
trampling
Chris, it
over
works
me.
both
earlier.
ways, Chris.
I had
Well,
you soundly and 5
If you're
glow cards
all
trampling
wrong,
over
then
me.
you should
No,
be
I
able
don't
to
care.
debunk us with no
Chris,
problem.
I don't
let me
care.
finish.
So go ahead. Go ahead with your.
Lewis,
relevance.
All right. So every single image that you ever look at, you're gonna have. You can set it right in the center of your field of view, and there's no point where by positioning it such that 0.02 degrees of it are just above or below your center of view, that's going to cause that part of it to disappear.
No,
that's
the
never
tangent
going to
line
happen.
by the eye of the observer is the key that determines where the angles from top to bottom are either smaller or bigger, or they could probably even be equal if you position the observer height at a certain point.
Well, Chris,
Right.
I would just like to
Right.
say that
I mean,
when you get a
this
camera
whole
and zoom in,
argument,
you
this
can't
whole
bring the boat back, so it's a load of
dude,
bollocks.
Brummy.
Sorry, Lewis. I just wanted it because obviously the angle, like he's saying, it will cut off from the bottom. But if you get a telescope and zoom over, you won't be able to bring the boat back from the bottom, so it gets obscured permanently.
Yeah, I understand that, but that pointing out how he's wrong and this doesn't actually explain what we see in reality won't help him understand
Well,
what's
you
wrong.
haven't even made an
with
argument, so
it.
please make one.
Well, the what you've explained here seems to me to say that if you divide an object up into segments that are smaller than 0.02 degrees, you should be able to make it disappear because that's not resolvable.
What's so hard to understand about the angle on the bottom below the eye level is smaller than the top? Why is that so
There's
difficult?
nothing.
to comprehend?
There's nothing hard about that.
Okay, then. Well, okay.
So,
It's really
why is it? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I've heard this argument before, and it's something that always strikes me as curious about it is why is what happens at the ground that's magical here? Like, why is that lower angle that goes to the ground to your eye? It's just a field of color, right? Why is it that where the ground is, suddenly your eye does something different?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you're alluding to, but
Well,
I will say that generally, if somebody's on a shoreline right there on the water surface and they're looking out of a boat is much taller than the person is as it's on the surface of the water. So because the person's eye, the tangent line from the person's eye, the observer height basically is lower than, generally speaking, the midway point. But the midway point of the object isn't always the key factor, but being beneath the midway point of the object is what is causing the angles underneath to be more small and compressed than the angles above. I don't know if that's what you were.
I get that. I think I maybe can express it better this way. If you start at that middle line, your line of sight, and you go down that angle, if you're standing in front of a skyscraper that's pretty close, you'll get the angle. You can hit that angle. If we just sort of sweep down, right, we're going to hit that angle. We're still going to be touching. That line is still going to be touching the skyscraper, right?
I'm sorry, man. Could you repeat that? I really apologize.
If you look at the bottom angle, and like what Lewis was saying, you divide it up in a lot of little angles, right? I guess what I'm trying to get at is you sort of are making this argument that where the building hits the ground is like this sort of magical optical cutoff point. But what he's asking, and I think what's confusing to us, is why is it that we can see these tiny little spaces in between the ground and where the middle line is? If we can't resolve these sub angles, what happens when the light hits the ground that suddenly now makes us obscure the bottom half? It's a little. Maybe I'm not explaining it well.
Lewis, do you understand his question? Because I don't.
I'm not sure. I honestly thought I did a better job of making the same point.
You always think that, but you probably did.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, Lewis explains it better.
It's like okay, look, if you're saying
wait, but you agree that there's a smaller angle here than the top, right?
Yeah, that's trivial. Yes, no one would disagree with that. And the point is that you're sort of saying that when that angle gets small enough,
You're making it worse, Beach.
Oh, when it gets small enough, it disappears. I know. Just give me one last chance, and then I'll bail. You're saying when that angle gets small enough, it disappears, right? It gets blocked. It looks as if it's obstructed, right?
Yeah, generally from the bottom up, yeah, it'll probably have that effect. Yeah.
And so, why does nothing like that happen for that angle, for that sized angle? Why does that not happen before the whole thing gets small enough? Like, why does it happen in little piecemeal sections all throughout?
You mean before it reaches the optical line of the horizon?
Yes, except before that whole angle is small enough.
That's a good question. I don't know the exact. I mean, you'd have to work out each mathematical situation depending on the observer height, the size of the boat.
Right. Why haven't you guys done that? Why don't you have an equation for this?
Well, you guys aren't denying. Actually, there is an equation. Actually,
Chris.
I think there is an equation. Let me see if I
Chris,
can pull
you
it
have
up here.
observations. You have observations such as Nathan Oakley's book, where apparently this effect is occurring at like about 20 feet away.
Chris, would you be honest enough to just say that it's possibly, it's rather one of the two. It's rather what you're saying, or it's curvature. Are you saying that are they equally, valid? Would you give them? Would you even give the globe as much credit as you're giving this explanation for it?
No way in hell, because this is just. I mean, there's been too much moving of the globe post on almost every cherished proof we live on a globe. There's been too many caveats, too many alternate explanations, and this is the most damning alternate explanation for things disappearing bottom up.
Made up
This is
damning.
devastating. 3.5 hour explanation of light, angular resolution,
based on a
diffraction
misunderstanding
limits,
of what
theta.
angular resolution
I mean,
is.
I think Louis was surprised I knew theta for the human eye.
It just goes to
that's
show
just deep analysis, though. I mean,
You
guys should all
don't
check this
you
out.
don't understand theta.
I'm gonna
Saying
go
the
ahead
word
and, I'm
doesn't
gonna
make
put this
it
in the
doesn't
chat
make you
here.
understand it.
I'm gonna put this in the chat for everybody.
Hey, Chris.
Everyone, watch.
I thought he was calling Lewis a theta.
Hey, Chris.
I thought he was too. I thought he was too.
Hey,
Chris, it seems like you've made your mind up that it cannot be the alternate explanation, which is curvature.
Well, I had
Because
my
of that-
mind made up. I had
Yeah.
my mind
Let me
made
finish,
up.
Chris.
I had my
Chris.
mind made up my whole life when I was born and indoctrinated.
Chris, let me
to
finish,
live on a
please.
spinning ball. So yeah, I've always believed we lived on a spinning
Chris,
ball.
you,
That
to,
was
to have a debate, you need to basically take both positions, and I'm taking your position now. I'm saying that could be a good explanation for it. But
It is a good
is it
explanation for it.
Is the curvature not also a good explanation things and has much more than this?
because I've never seen or felt curvature ever. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I have.
Neil
I
deGrasse
have.
Tyson says we can't see curvature from
Fuck Neil deGrasse Tyson.
128,000
He can
feet.
suck my dick. I have seen.
Did you just say what Neil deGrasse Tyson? Oh
Not the
my
priest.
god, dude!
You can't say that about the priest.
The priest.
Well, hold on. As a
dude.
priest,
Are you
Yeah,
toxic?
he was
You can't
incorrect.
say that about the priest.
He was incorrect when he said that, and there's plenty of evidence that shows he was incorrect.
I like to call him
That's
Talking of
Nigga
incorrect.
deGrasse Tyson.
His name
Chris,
is
That's
deGrasse
embarrassing.
Tyson. It's
you've
not
demonstrated that you have a
God
mental
damn.
block, Chris.
It's
You
a
have a
bad
mental
time
block.
to be a Glober.
The thing is,
Hey,
you're
guys.
asserting that you're right 100% categorically. There's no error for doubt in your mind that this is the explanation. Is that what you're claiming? That you're not even willing to accept that you're
He's
possibly
bringing up
wrong?
an alternative. You're not looking at the alternative.
Yeah,
I think
no, I'm absolutely
anybody-
open-minded to the globe. I was open-minded for
No,
27,
you're not.
29
Well,
years, bro.
Yeah,
you're not
we all
open-minded
do the same
now.
thing.
internet
And
bullshit.
guess what? I believed in the globe through blind faith my whole life. I've been
No,
looking
Right,
into
so you
flat
didn't
Earth.
understand it.
I've been looking into flat Earth with a skeptical eye.
And
No,
this
you
is
haven't.
shit, Chris.
No,
And
you
let's
haven't.
be honest,
Chris,
most people
right
think they live
now,
on a
You're
ball.
not being honest.
Chris,
That's
right
not
now,
true.
you are completely brainwashed, and you are
No,
completely.
you're brainwashed. I was
You are
I was
completely.
That's pretty
brainwashed.
ironic.
When I
Brainwashed.
believed in the
That's
spinning
pretty
ball
ironic.
my whole life, I
Completely,
was
utterly
brainwashed.
brainwashed.
Hey,
When
hey,
I
guys,
You're not
believed in
willing
a
to
spinning
accept
ball
that you
with
are
no
possibly
evidence,
wrong.
I was
You are not even
brainwashed.
willing to conceive that
That's
you are
when I
possibly
was
wrong.
brainwashed. When I believed
Well,
in a spinning ball
Chris,
with no evidence
Chris,
my whole
to
life.
be
That's
skeptical-
brainwash.
To be skeptical is to say that your beliefs could be wrong, and it is actually to try and prove them wrong.
Listen, I never said that. There's a legit possibility the Earth is a sphere. I never said that's not possible. It's
Right, but
I'm still on the fence.
The point of skepticism is to acknowledge and be okay with.
Here's the problem, dude. Here's the problem.
And
When they said ships disappear bottom up, when they told me ships disappear bottom up in
are
school,
you skeptical?
when they told me
of the Earth
ships
being flat.
Are you skeptical of the Earth being a globe? Look, when they told me that the
Chris, I am.
Of course, I'm skeptical of both sides, bro.
Okay, thank you.
When they told me ships disappear bottom up in school, when they told me ships disappear bottom up in school, they said it's because it's going over a curve. When people started zooming in on those ships, and you can see them, or you can see entire lighthouse, then they started telling us it was refraction. Then they started telling us it was refraction.
There are examples.
Then they started telling us it
where that
was
doesn't
refraction.
happen.
Then they started telling, hang on, like my last point.
Chris, you know that obstruction does exist.
All
right?
Then they started telling us it was refraction, and now
Chris,
angular resolution
you
and
know
theta
that this stuff happens. Okay, there is an explanation that a flat Earth cannot answer. Okay, that's fine. But I'm sorry, I got sucked into your tangent there. I wanted to say everybody who wants. Everybody who wants to know the truth of this stuff.
So for our circle,
I think everybody
based on
should
angular
watch that video you posted.
R
Everybody
is equal to 3,969 miles, and the circumference is 24,900. The Earth's radius is said to be so. There you go. According to this incredible 3.5-hour research, the rate at which things disappear bottom up due to the eye and the way it works, or cameras in general, matches the circumference of the Earth. What a stunning coincidence!
Well, it's not actually. It's not that. Okay, I encourage everybody to watch this video. And to watch all sorts of other sources as well about the Earth and its dimensions. The angular resolution of an object depends on its size, its actual size, and its distance from you. So not all objects are going to recede into an infinitesimally small dot that disappears from your ability to resolve it due to it going over the horizon. Because some objects like these fingernail or these tweezers, for example, like that gets a mile away from you, you're not going to be able to see it. Even less than a mile. You set that a quarter mile away from you, you're not going to be able to see it. All right.
Well, maybe that's because there's not enough. Maybe that's because there's barely any height.
Chris,
there's barely any height to that.
That it doesn't matter. It's an
object.
Yes,
it does. You need some height.
Chris, this is an object.
This
is an object that doesn't have to get to the horizon to disappear from your vision. Okay.
Sorry.
This is an object that doesn't have to get to the horizon to be too small to resolve.
Okay.
All right. That's you just said that the geometry of the Earth matches how everything disappears due to angular resolution. It's just not true.
The observer would assume they are watching a person descend from their point of view across 2 theta at 3 miles. The first theta, 0.0216 degrees angle, would represent the observer height at 6 feet until 0 feet, and the second theta, 0.0216 degrees, for the drop from 0 to 6 feet. We can therefore take our arc angle equals 2 theta across an arc length equals 3 miles, or we can take the drop rate of 12 feet across 3 miles. Either will give us R for the greater circle. We can now solve for the radius of the Earth from the angular resolution limit of the human eye as, and then you get into all this.
But the object, that's only for things that are the size of a person. That's what the objects were in that example.
So. No, I don't believe so.
Dude, it's literally what it says. They're watching a person descend. They're watching a person.
No, I don't think so.
Not in the
what
math.
it says.
No, not in the math. The math has nothing to do with the size of a person.
You know what I need to do? I gotta get the guy who made this video.
The theta, it's 6 feet. All right.
I gotta get the guy who made this video.
All right. I encourage everybody to look into this. Okay.
Yeah, look into it.
It's gonna take you a long time.
Yeah. What's up, Ian? What's up, Ian?
If any of this is confusing to you, just dive in. Okay.
Spam the link
Chris,
again.
can I say something? I just want to say that I really love what Lewis and Tommy have said in the limited time I've been in your chat, as far as skeptics for the flat Earth, you and I are skeptics of the globe, obviously.
That's right.
But I really love what
I'm also a
they've
skeptic
said.
of the globe. I want to put that out there. I'm skeptical of everything.
Oh, that's great,
Good.
man. So you're a super
Good.
skeptic.
Good.
That's some high IQ shit.
He's got a high IQ.
Stunning high IQ. Stunning.
It's actually not that high. It doesn't have to be that high either. I'm skeptical of high IQs.
Well, look, what I'm trying to say is, Lewis and Tommy, the stuff that they have said within this chat since I've been in it, I love it. I love what they've said. It's very intelligent. It's
Thank
on
you.
point, and I really enjoy it. And guess what? I've been looking for these kind of people for a long, long time, and here they are. Here
Okay.
they are on your chat, Chris. Why don't we get them on my channel? Just these two, and you and I. And we
I'm more than willing to join, but let me just say, Chris, you did say that you was open to the globe and the flat Earth, but I don't think that's the truth. And what you've demonstrated is somebody that has an idea in their head that the Earth's flat, and you will not take anything else in. And that is a very big problem, and that's the only way.
What you
Well,
want.
he can say the same about you, man. Come on,
Hey, Jeremy, let me ask you a serious
prove
question.
to you, at the very beginning
Jeremy,
of the
let me ask you a
conversation,
really
I can
serious
prove to
question.
you that it's not
Jeremy,
flat. I can prove to you it's not flat.
Let me ask you
Forget
a
the
really,
shape of it. Forget the shape of it.
let me ask you a
Sarah's talking
serious
over me now.
question.
Sarah's talking
Let
over
me
me.
ask you a really serious
You're
question.
not letting me talk, Chris. You never
You're
let me
just gonna
talk. Chris.
babble on and then not let me talk. So why should I respect you?
I never got to finish what I was saying.
You're just blathering nonsense, bro. Listen.
Yeah, it's not
Here's
just
a
you, 'cause you don't
question.
listen to
Here's a
anything else.
question. Here's a question.
Well, here, what does Tommy have to say?
Real quick. Here's a question.
Don't let me make voice,
Listen,
just shuts me down.
listen. I believed we lived on a spinning ball with
Yes, we've heard it before.
basically zero evidence, even though it was presented to me as absolute fact, even though they didn't give me the hardcore proofs for it my whole life. So do you have a problem with me having blindly believed in the spinning ball my whole life, the way you seem to have an issue with me supposedly blindly believing in flat Earth?
Yes.
I listen. I can prove it's
Absolutely.
not.
What you
Jeremy
you had
didn't
no
say
reason
yes.
to blindly
Jeremy didn't
believe.
say yes, so he
I
wants me
can
to be a
prove.
globe
I can
cultist.
prove.
Blindly
Jeremy
believing
wants
it
me
was
to
a
be a
result
globe
of
cultist.
ignorance, and you
want me
didn't
to
have
be
to
a
be
globe
ignorant
cultist.
about it.
You want me to be a globe cultist.
I can prove that it's not flat. I don't care what the shape is.
Anyways. All right, guys. Any
So-
final words? I gotta go. I'm tired. Of
Chris, I have one final word. I want. Can you please put a link to my channel on this video so that Lewis and Tommy can get a hold of me, because I would really like to talk to these guys.
Yeah,
Well,
you
what
can
do-
just
what's
right
your name,
there.
bro?
Hey,
I
right
only
there.
had one
blah,
question.
blah, blah, right there in the chat. Sorry, right there in the sidebar on the Hangouts. There's a little message icon on the left. You can put it there, and they'll be able to see it.
Yeah, my name is Lewis Hackett. That's LOUISHACKETT. That is my channel name as well.
Tommy Hedge. You can. Can't you come to Gem Panda's server and keep in contact with us there? You can always get us.
Yeah, I would really love to talk to you guys, man. Because I mean, as far as the globe model, you guys really have your shit together.
Well, I definitely think Lewis has a lot more detail than me. I mean, I'm just, I can talk in a bit more layman terms and people to understand on a different sort of wavelength. But Chris, I mean, I don't care what the shape of the Earth is. It could be fucking square for all I care. But I can just prove that it's not flat, and that who gives a shit what shape it is? It just isn't flat. So.
Right.
I don't care about the globe. I ain't got no religion, and I'm very interested in facts. I'm very, very interested in what makes sense. And with simple observations, my suspicions ain't aroused enough for me to go out there with cameras and start, trying to prove what idiots are wrong about. But if you're willing to listen, you're willing to learn, you're willing to have a conversation, I'm more than willing to views of why you're wrong. But you have to be open-minded. You can't be closed-minded, Chris. You can't just say.
Yes, you can't be a blind faith globe cultist.
I don't care.
Like you.
Okay, guys. Good night, guys.
All right,
Yeah,
see ya.
at least you have the dangly bit to come out and talk.
I just put my link in the chats there.
I'm going to shoot you an email, and then you'll have my email.
Yeah, that's great, man. I really like this, Chris. Man, this was a great chat you did.
No, thank you guys for coming on. And yeah, I mean, you guys should all do it. Post a public link. Post a public link. Hey, why don't you guys join Nathan Oakley's show anymore? You guys are willing to jump in here, but you won't jump in Nathan Oakley.
I will give you respect. You debate pretty well. Nathan doesn't want to debate. He just wants a show to embarrass people and to to shout down, and he just wants super chats.
You guys sound butthurt.
No, he is incapable of reason debate. He never allows reason debate. He uses his mute button. He's abusive to people.
They can't handle Nathan.
He can't have a debate.
He's
And
not
he shows
interested
that
in
every
it.
single day.
He's not interested in it.
Anyways.
Do you know what I mean?
All right, guys. Hey, thank you, guys. No, seriously, it was a great discussion. I hope we do it again. Good night, guys. See you soon.
Give him my link. Give him my link because I want to
actually doing it.
Cool. Yeah. Keep in touch with Lewis and that, and get us through there or on Gen Panda server.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
All right. Later, guys. Holy fuck. Oh. How does Nathan Oakley do this shit 7 days a week? God damn. Oh, God. You know what? This probably doesn't help that I've been awake since 3 in the morning. So I'm almost been awake for 24 hours. So it's like, oh. Well, that was great. We had Soundly in here. Red's Rhetoric popped in for like 4 seconds, said one word and left. It was so weird. Well, it was somebody with a Red's Rhetoric thingy, so I don't know if it really was him. We had Soundly up in this bitch. That was fantastic, I have to say. I've never done this before, so that was really great. Let me just jump over to the chat real quick. Thank you, DMT Matrix, for the $2 super chat. Globe religion is hard to take. Well done, Red Pill Philosophy. Thank you. Rune Thorson, DKK50 says, they had me believe there is a perpetually falling nuclear furnace in the sky. Yeah, it's quite the belief system, and they've had this belief system since long before they had rockets to go up there and prove it. And that's probably one of the that's a great point that makes you scratch your head and really wonder, how is it that so much of the shit that they presupposed 2,000 years ago, what are the odds that so much of what they presupposed turns out to be very accurate to what they said it was? I don't know. It's too much of a coincidence. It sounds like they would just go in and make everything what we've all been taught, because you can't rock the boat. You can't rock the boat. Wow, that was insane. Let me just put the live chat up. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for watching. That was insane. Wasn't even planning to do it. But here we are. And yeah, thanks again for everybody who smashed the super chat. You guys are great. Yeah. That was nuts. That was insane. And there was one part where it was Soundly, Lewis, and like 5. This is like 5-on-1. It was fantastic, and they kept deflecting from that angular resolution diffraction limit argument. They just tried to overcomplicate and stir, and before I knew it, we were off track. And it's a really compelling argument. And again, let me spam the link to that video so you guys can go do some homework. So you guys, and Benjamin is live. He stopped talking about flat Earth, so I don't watch his live streams anymore. It's just not interesting anymore, man. If it's not flat Earth, it's not interesting, basically. Let's see here. Angular resolution in our world, that's it. This is the video. I'm going to spam it again so you guys can take this video and you can go do some homework with this. Go watch it. It's 3.5 hours long. And 3.5 hours long. And it took me like 3 weeks to actually sit down and finish the whole thing. Because, you know, you got to pause it and soak it in. So, you know, that thing is a masterpiece. Everybody watch the video I just linked. And that's it, man. That's what it is. Look, it's not my fault that every slam dunk proof of the globe always has a really plausible flat Earth alternative explanation. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. And that's why a lot of people are looking into this. And it's not just crazy people, and it's not just cult members and religious people. You know, you got a lot of people, man, a lot of people, and you can't just dismiss them all as cult members and whatever, you know. And if that's what you resort to as a strategy to defeat flat Earth, just saying, oh, it's cultish, oh, you're just not being objective, then you're going to lose the debate, because that's not an argument. It's not an argument. But yeah, so fun stuff, cool stuff, really great stuff. I'm so tired right now. I didn't think that many people would join. I really didn't. I thought I would be streaming for maybe 5-10 minutes. Well, skyrocketed from there. I'm not kidding. It was 3 weeks. Thanks, Jose. Jose JG Gonzalez. Well, whatever. It is what it is, Jose. It is what it is. I really hope the audio was balanced between all of our mics. Some people were saying my mic was too low. Luis Hernandez says, this was fun, thanks. Sorry, Jose. It's not that easy. It's a complex world, brother. It's a complex world, man. You should know that, having looked into this topic. It's very complex. Yeah, Lewis was surprised when I knew theta. When I knew theta of the human eye. Yeah. Yep. It's called doing your homework. Watch the video I linked, please. Watch it. Do your homework. God damn, that was a circus. All right. Hey, thanks, Iam. Appreciate it. Yeah, everybody, let me get the link to Iam's channel here. Oh, man. And you know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a debate, and people should be allowed to ask questions, right? I mean, since when did asking questions become heresy? Shouldn't people just be allowed to ask questions? Shouldn't people be allowed to speculate about the current paradigm and maybe if there's another explanation? Are we allowed to do that still? Or is that now a thought crime in this post 1984 world? Is that now a thought crime? I've said it before, I'll say it again. The way globe believers react to flat earth is sometimes a really interesting indicator as to what's going on with this whole flat versus globe debate thing, because sometimes they get so butthurt, so triggered over flat earth. Does anyone ever get into a heated argument about Bigfoot? Have you ever heard two people like just fucking furious in a debate about something with Bigfoot? I mean, maybe I just don't know people who believe in Bigfoot, but no, there's something about flat versus globe that really triggers the shit. And it does trigger a lot of atheists. Atheists really, and you can understand why. I mean, come on. When you're an atheist, I mean, pale blue dot, Carl Sagan's pale blue dot. I mean, that's your religion, dude. Being a pale blue dot is the atheist religion. That's your religion. Pale blue dot. So, I mean, could you imagine, bro? Could you imagine if it's the opposite of pale blue dot? The atheists would freak. They'd lose their minds. They would fucking lose their minds. Anyways, guys, there's a 5 versus 1. 5 established globe believers versus little old me for a time period there. It was great. 5 versus 1. Yeah, I'd like to see a globe believer going into 5 versus 1. You know, I mean, do it. But I found that a lot of the globe believers are very careful. They don't want to put themselves in that situation. It's like fight the flat earth. Fight the flat earth. He wants a moderated debate with one of his atheist buddies, you know, micromanaging the whole thing while they claim that, you know, it's an objective moderator. He has no biases. Yeah, an atheist has no biases in a debate about whether or not the earth is flat or round. Come on, bro. Don't be silly. And, you know, but I've said it before. Flat earthers, no. I've said it before. Globe believers have everything to lose. And flat earthers have everything to gain. Globe believers have everything to lose. Flat earthers have nothing to lose because flat earth is the most ridiculed, mocked thing in the world. And clearly not by, what's up, flat earth fucker? Not sure if it's the real you, but what's up, man? I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I've almost been awake for 24 hours, so. I wanted to ask Soundly, but I never got to because it was like 10 people talking all over me. But I wanted to ask him. It's funny. Fight the Flat Earth told me he didn't want to debate me. Just me, just little old me, just one Flat Earther. He didn't want to debate me 1-to-1, man-to-man, because he said Flat Earthers talk over too much. They talk over too much. It was 5 globetards talking all over just me today. I mean, come on. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. So, yep. Good night, Jordans. Have fun, Flat Earth Fokker. I don't go on to debate shows that portray themselves as neutral public forums when they're obviously biased public forums. If it's going to be 3 versus 1, 3 Globers versus 1 Flat Earther, it better be in the fucking title of the damn video and the title of the debate. 3 terrified globetards gang up on 1 Flat Earther. None of this, oh, the moderator's just an unbiased atheist wizard genius. He has no dog in this fight. Yeah. Well, I think I'm done because it's late, and I've said that like 10 times, but that's it. Okay, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who smashed the super chat. Appreciate it. And well, it was a little bit before you showed up, actually. And that's it. Whew. All right, later, Karen. Later, everybody. Talk to you guys later.